5-minute meditation. Right? We will do it several times today. We will do that 5-minute meditation several times today. So don't worry if you have to pop in and out. Give me a few minutes to get everybody settled in, and I will show you guys the mudra, and we will sit for 5 minutes, and then we will slip into shenanigans, and then we'll sit for 5 minutes again, and then do it again.
Mama.
Darling, dearest son of mine.
Can we have the two rolls that are in the toilet paper package?
The 2 packages?
No, the 2 rolls in the toilet paper package.
You mean paper towels?
No, toilet paper.
Okay, hey, change your attitude and look at me. The toilet paper comes. Can you please not? You gotta, yeah, there you go. It comes in 4 packs. Toilet paper comes in 4 packs. So she can have whatever packs she needs.
Okay.
Paper towels come in long, things like this, single by themselves. If there's only 2 paper towels left, she can totally have those. She can have what she needs.
There was a 6-pack of paper towels, and I gave her 2 of those. So can she have 2 rolls of toilet paper?
Which means another pack of toilet paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pack, not a roll. That's why I'm being confused, because there's 4 rolls in a pack. Love you.
Love you. Now I'm gonna go color.
Okay. Okay. Sometimes it's the simplest things that are the most difficult to sort out, wouldn't you say? Okay. It looks like everybody is live. Woo! Okay. Gotta watch my breath this morning because my coffee is a little extra bitter, and I find when it is extra bitter, it hits my nervous system a little differently. So, it's all paperwork. Hey, Bill, how are you? Oh, that's right. You were in here already. Complimenting my bandana. Okay, let's see how many channels we can keep running at the same time. If you want shenanigans, I'll show you shenanigans. Try to stream to 5 different channels at the same time while also teaching meditation, which means you have to close your eyes and keep up on all the comments. Why? Why would you torture yourself so? Because it's a good challenge. I like a challenge. Like sizing the screen, obviously, must be a challenge. Come on. Oh, mercy me. Surely I mentioned shenanigans. Surely. All I keep singing in my head today is Ganesha mantra. For some reason, Ganesha is in my head today, which is really nice. Really nice mantra to be saying. Ganesha is a good bringer of boons, bringer of comfort, bringer of abundance. Figuring what to do with you when your head gets cut off, you know. Ganesha, Sharanam, Ganesha. Sorry. Hi, Gigi. How are you this morning? Oh, thank you guys for the gifts. You guys are so sweet. Okay. Pin a notice for viewers to contact you. There's a button that says I should do that. Should we do that? Boom. All it says is a message that says, message me. You can send me a direct message right now. Does it stay there? There you go. No, it stays for 30 seconds. Now we know. Now we learned something new about TikTok. You've had Om Shanti and this Hare Krishna mantra stuck in your head for weeks. Yeah, so I actually have an app. I would highly suggest this one particularly. It's, okay, Jimmy, give me just a second. Let me move. Let me give you a spot. Wait. It is called Navasham, I believe. Navasham, and it's like $1, $2 subscription to get all the mantras. And they have daily mantras for each day. They have mantras for the moons. They have mantras on all different subjects. Sir, my dog. What is... No, no, please do not climb on top of me right now. Can you sit right here? Are you okay? Your little nubbin is wiggling like there's something very... Do you need to go outside? Do you want me to go? Do you want me to put you out there? There you go. He had some business to handle. Clearly. Where did I get these? I got these in Taos several years ago. I got a whole selection of them from a friend of mine who was closing a piercing shop, and so I got a bunch of these really awesome big pieces that would have been like $300-400 pieces for free, or for really cheap. I think I did give her some cash for them, but right, Christina, it's just a big white box at the bottom of the comments. Whatever, TikTok, it's all right. You were in Taos a few years ago, Courtney. Amazing. I love how paths cross, huh? I won't be back there anytime soon. I won't really probably be back to New Mexico anytime soon unless I'm going to visit one or two particular people. Hola, mijo, ¿qué tú quieres?
Where's the way to back there?
There are words you cannot say online. It's... Oh, it's in where we throw the cardboard, right? No, that room to the left. All the bags and boxes are to the left. If you look at that door, cardboard's to the right. That little room to the left, show her. Walk in there with her, okay?
Yeah.
Can you close that, please, so flies don't get in?
Yeah.
We live rurally, and we have a little homestead farm, like right there. Not ours, it's our neighbor's. And I think that something about his cows or his horses or something, we had our first rain of the season, and holy crap, there are flies everywhere. I don't know if you guys have noticed in the lives, but it's been a really amazing opportunity for me to practice being present and staying present, even when there's like 16 flies landing on my feet while sitting outside. It is insane. I've never had this like big of an eruption, but it's like right after the rain, so I'm assuming that just happened. New Courtney saw some crazy stuff in New Mexico. Yeah, it's a unique place, isn't it? Where did I get the head wrap, Jenny? I am a thrifter. I find all of my stuff, all of this is at thrift stores, except for actually I'll buy like leggings in like multi-packs, right? Just cheap, simple leggings. So this was from a thrift store. My favorite place to find, thank you, Madre. Maddie, wait, yeah, Maddie, right? Best place to find really beautiful scarves, honestly, is thrift stores, because you're gonna find like grandma's silks and stuff like that somebody didn't know what they were or value of them, right? Or didn't value them, and so they end up in thrift stores. I have found the most amazing head wraps, and then they're nice big ones too. This is a big one. It's funny, when I put it on this morning, I had a feeling I was going to be asked about it and going to end up doing like a couple tutorials of the head wrap today, which is fine. We can do that too. Your altar cloth came from Goodwill. Yep, I've got this beautiful doily, lace doily here also thrifting. I prefer the like little shops because you can find some really amazing stuff in there, and then they're also oftentimes willing to negotiate with you in a little shop. And there's several things that you can do to clear the energy off of items. I highly recommend when you bring home items from the thrift store that you clear the energy from those items. Glenn, just about half an acre in New Mexico. Sweet. Everybody's homesteading out in New Mexico. Hey, Lind, how are you? Good morning, everyone. Oh, it is 10:10. Hold on. You guys ready? It's 10:10. Let's go ahead and sit for our first 5 minutes of mudra today, okay? And then we'll get back to chatting. All right. Good morning to you. We live in a zoo. Sometimes I feel like a monkey. There's nothing left. Okay. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, middle of the night, wherever you are in this big wide world. Welcome to Bhakti Bites. Bhakti Bites is our 3 times a week class where we practice devotion to self-care. Bhakti means devotion, so devotion to what? The term actually refers to devotion to a personal deity, devotion to a personal representation of God. And in my experience, in my path, hanging my hat on something or someone outside of myself ended up just leading me to that divinity within. And the longer I hung my hat on things outside of me and ignored the divinity within, the further away from that divinity I was. It was only once I put that hat back on and said, well, wait a minute, how does that fit me first? Once I discovered that, once I sat with that, the external representations of divinity shifted and changed. Changed in profound and healing ways, as somebody who grew up in organized religion. So, dog, this is Ajna. Ajna is apparently, hey, you're going to break my bracelet if you put your claws on there. Sir, what do you need? What are you in need of? Do you hear them talking outside and you want to go hang out? But listen, I'm not out there with you right now. And they're not going to pay attention to you running through the woods. Yeah? And then what if they close the door because they forget? What if they shut the gate and forget you're out there because you're out in the woods? Will you please just lay down? Can you find a spot to lay down? Can you do that up here? Thank you. Lay down. Mercy me. See? He's coming back inside. He's coming back inside.
Only to kill like one fly. Or to get one fly.
Are you done yet? Did you find your spot? It was actually... Hi. Sorry. They're extra something today. So in this space, we practice devotion to self-care. Why devotion to self-care? Because that is the foundation from which everything else evolves, the foundation from which everything else grows. A lot of times here in the West, we hang our hats outside of ourselves long before we discover ourselves, long before we've spent any time with ourselves. And oftentimes we don't use that deity or that mirror as such, as a reflection of ourselves, and instead see the divinity outside of ourselves while lamenting and longing for it within. Lind, my friend, I'm sorry that you've been feeling lonely and rough night. Or feeling pretty rough, yeah. It's been a really interesting little bit here, guys. And so this mudra that we're using this week is going to help with moving through, with what we're going to do as we move past these big transitions. I know that we're going through a lot of reordering. A lot of people are in their reordering phase right now. Things are falling away that we might not want to lose. Things are falling away that we might have been really committed to for a long time. Things are falling away that maybe we hoped would stay, right, in our lives. This is a time when these things happen. Oh, it can get confusing. It can be frustrating. It can make us feel, victimized, right, by God or the universe. Like, why the fuck is my life falling apart? Why the fuck are things that I care about falling away? So the mudra this week is a Surabhi Mudra. Surabhi means cow in Sanskrit. And again, I apologize for my pronunciation. And as you know, in Hinduism, the cow is a sacred representation of abundance, generosity, the peace that comes with the entirety of the universe, being in flow with the entirety of the universe. So, this is a fun mudra to do. Please take your time in doing this mudra. We're going to do it several times before we sit for our 5 minutes. Okay, Surabhi Mudra, are you ready? Bring your palms together out in front of you. They don't have to be this far. I'm just putting them out this far so you can see it. You can be right here. Okay. Your right hand, keep this in mind. Your right hand goes over your left, okay? So we start with our ring fingers. Cross the right ring finger over the left. Come in nice and close. And then touch your pinkies, the opposite pinkies, to the tip pads of the ring fingers. You see that? Okay, let's start again. Ring fingers, right over left. And now I'm going to bring my left pinky to touch my right ring. Right pinky to touch my left ring. So you should have a nice little cross section here. Yes? All right. We're going to do the same thing with the middle fingers. Cross, right over left. And then bring the opposite pointer finger to touch the middle. So my right pointer is touching my left middle. Left middle is touching my right. Left index is touching my right middle. See, that's why I was like, pay attention. It's right and left. Right is on top of the left. Your right middle finger should be on top of the left middle finger. Your right ring finger should be on top of the left ring finger. So they're nice and stacked in there. And then we bring our thumbs, the pads of our thumbs, to touch. So the front of your mudra should look like so. If you're looking down on your mudra, you're going to see it like so. And then we hold it here at the heart. I encourage you to shift and play and adjust in this mudra until you find a place. Brian confused easily. It does feel like a tongue twister for your fingers. That makes me want some lingua tacos. No, not really. I don't need them anymore. I don't need them anymore. Okay, do you guys want to do this one more time? We're going to do this one more time. This one's challenging. Yes. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. Again, please make sure that you adjust. It does help when you place your palms together. Instead of starting out here with your fingers, start with your palms together. Okay. We're going to go from the bottom again. Open your fingers and then cross your right ring finger over the left. Right ring finger over the left. Touch the opposite, the pinky. Yeah, it is a tongue twister. And for my fingers. My right ring touches my left pinky. Right ring, yeah. Left ring touches right pinky. The explaining of this mudra is harder than the doing it, I promise. I just realized how short my fingers are, badass blind woman. Okay, so for any mudra, honor where you are. Honor your hands, honor your ability, honor your present moment. If this is not completely available, get as close as you can, right? Okay. Now we're on the middle fingers. Right middle finger over the left middle finger. Touching the opposite, look, those index and middle finger to each other. So now you have two set up. It reminds me of a fence. Bring your thumbs to touch and rest here at your heart. If this is too high for you, again, please honor where you are and lower it a little bit. So this mudra, what does this mudra do? This is the mudra for generosity. And it does several things for us. It balances the air dosha, vata dosha in the body. What does the air element in the body do? The air element in the body clears out the body, but also can disrupt the body. Anxiety, racing thoughts, dry skin, being dehydrated, things like this are all excess air in the body. Imagine like the wind, right? What we'd like is a nice calm breeze. We don't want a crazy storm blowing through us, but many of us have excess vata, excess air in our system in that way, and it causes that kind of chaos, that kind of anxiety stuff. So, balance is air. And interesting. So it also opens the Manipura chakra. That's your solar plexus chakra. That's the chakra for confidence. So in balancing that vata, right, in opening the Manipura, in opening the center for will, I'm also balancing that anxiety, calming the sense of anxiety in me with that increased will. This also works on bile disorders and cough. This improves memory. It awakens empathy. It reduces inflammation. And this one opens us up to our unique gifts and talents. The ones that are for the spiritual benefit of all beings. For the benefit of all beings. This mudra, in doing so, assists us in aligning with our truth, with our highest purpose. And if you are feeling any sense of reordering in your life right now, if you're feeling life squeezing you, then that means life is pushing you through your own little rebirth. And when we go through these stages where we clear away the old stuff out of our lives, we need to readjust. Opening ourselves to the gifts that are innate within us, the truth, the authenticity that exists within us, that flows through us, that our systems are intended to resonate. Courtney, I'm so glad, guys. Remember that my content is always downloadable too. So I will post a new mudra every week. I will show you guys how to do these mudras. If you have any questions about the mudras, please comment on the videos. Download them, keep them, make your own little archive of mudras. I keep wanting to switch from mudras to do like mantras or pranayama, but the thing is mudras are so fucking effective, and we can add mantras and pranayamas to them. So I think we're gonna keep doing mudras for quite a long time. Hey, Feral Farm, how are you? Friend, you said I'm generous already. My fingers are just cramping up. Remember just to honor where you are, right? You guys want to see this one more time? Let's do this one more time before we sit for 5 minutes. Oh, Feral Farm, I need this the mostest. I think life is squeezing the bejesus out of me. You're very welcome, Lind. All right, let's do this one more time for those of you just gathering in, and then we will sit for just 5 minutes with this mudra. If you've already been sitting, you've already probably been sitting for about 5 minutes with it anyway, but we're going to actually settle in and give it our attention. So, we should do like finger stretches in here. I feel like we should do like hand exercises here before we do mudras. Okay. Surabhi Mudra, the cow mudra. Bring your palms together. Remember this. Your right goes over your left, okay? Right goes over your left. Open your fingers up and bring your right ring finger to cross over your left. Right ring finger to cross over your left. Touch the opposite pinky to that ring finger. So that means my left pinky is going to touch my right ring finger, and my right pinky is going to touch my left ring finger. That's going to give me this little crosshatch thing here. Yeah? Okay. You're going to do the exact same thing with the next two fingers. So, middle fingers, right over left. Touch the opposite index. My left index is going to touch my right middle. Right index touches the left middle. And then adjust. If the pads of your fingers, they're called, don't touch, and they're a little further down, that's okay. honor where you are in the moment. Find where this mudra is available to you right now, because that is the starting point for you, right? We're not all going to be able to twist our fingers into all these crazy positions. Some of these are even hard for me, and I have double joints in my fingers twist around backwards. So, so take your time. We do more in this space by being willing to just sit with where we're at, by cultivating the power to be present with ourselves, rather than by cultivating force. Brian, you're doing it in spirit. That's fantastic. Your intention, right? Your intention is more than anything. Yes, the mudra helps, but if my intention is somewhere way off somewhere else, the mudra is going to have less effectiveness. So if I have my attention on the mudra, but the mudra is not quite exactly the way that it's traditionally done, I'm still going to get more benefit. So to finish the mudra, just bring your thumbs to touch, however that is most comfortable for you. My son said, this is like we were talking about it being like a finger trap, right? The more you move, the more you seem to come undone. So go ahead and find yourself a good, comfortable position as best you can. Relax the fingers. Hold it here, either at the heart or just below, right at the sternum. And then we're going to close our eyes for just 5 minutes to sit with this mudra. If you feel like you cannot meditate, I encourage you to sit in this space, because we focus on the foundational pieces of meditation. Nothing complex. Don't worry about visuals. Don't worry about Sanskrit. Don't worry about anything complicated. The point here is not even to get a quiet inner space. It is just the practice of cultivating our attention. So, close your eyes if you haven't already. You can be seated, laying down. You could be walking. If you're walking, don't close your eyes, okay? And we're going to begin our practice with 3 deep breaths. Go ahead and inhale, pulling the breath through the nose, through the lungs, and into the belly. And sigh it out. Inhale again, expanding the rib cage in all directions, front, sides, and back. Big deep breath. And let it go. Inhale once more, lifting the heart on the inhale and lifting through the top of the head to elongate the spine. And exhale to allow the shoulder blades to melt down the back. Release tension in the neck, in the jaw, in the body, in the belly, in the feet. Go ahead and relax all tension. Remember, we sit with intention, not tension. Check with your mudra for a moment. And then return your attention to your breath. For a moment, we're just going to follow the breath. In fact, for just the 5 minutes, all we're going to do is follow the breath. Anytime your mind wanders off, anytime the monkeys in your brain start chattering away, anytime fear, worry, blame, shame, or any of that arises within you, I invite you to bring your attention back to your breath. Just listening for the inhale all the way to the top, and listening for the exhale all the way to the bottom. It's okay if your mind is busy. The point is not perfection. It is process. It is practice. It is presence. Presence with the breath. Presence with whatever arises within, without the need for attachment, without the need for tension. Just 5 minutes. Stay with the breath. Again, following the inhale all the way to the top and the exhale all the way to the bottom. let everything else match this same rhythm. Inhaling, thoughts may arise, emotions may arise, tension may arise. And with every exhale, we let it go. Nothing more, nothing less. Just one more minute staying with the breath. No matter how many times you bring your attention back, follow the inhale all the way to the top and the exhale all the way to the bottom. I encourage you to stay with this practice as long as is available to you. There are not many there are not contradictions to this mudra. Nothing major. So if you'd like to sit with it for longer, I encourage you to do so. When you feel complete, I invite you to release the mudra and bring your hands together into prayer, or simply lay one over the other over your heart in gratitude for today's practice. In gratitude for these mudras, these tools that allow us to align the system with wellness, with abundance, with authenticity. In gratitude for the divine life force that always flows through the path of least resistance to bring you to your highest good in every single moment. Offer yourself some gratitude for taking the time for self-care today. And thank you for joining me in our CAYA space and helping me cultivate a space where we can learn and grow and ultimately thrive together. When you're ready to come out of meditation, please do so slowly. Offer yourself wiggles, stretches, but don't open your eyes until you're certain that you really want to come back. Lynn found relaxation and my eyebrow itched. So I am one of those meditators, right? That, yes, there's a time and a place for me to ignore my itch, right? There are, hey Derek, how are you? There are definitely practices where the practice is to remain still. However, in my simple meditations and the basics, in the foundation of my meditation, I find that if something's so distracting, like an itch or something like that, it's better to go ahead and just scratch the itch. Sometimes I'll leave my hands in the mudra, and still get the itch, and then return back to whatever I was doing. Until we cultivate the the peace and the patience within our system to tolerate just sitting and observing things like itches and bug bites and flies crawling at us and things like that. Please honor where you're at. There's no reason to force yourself. And I find what happens is that we end up creating a lot more tension in our system by trying to deny ourselves scratching the itch, right? So be gentle, be kind, right? You're very welcome, Lex. So for those of you just joining, here is the mudra for our week. It's called the Surabhi Mudra. Surabhi means cow in Sanskrit. So this is the cow mudra and is done like so. All right, we're going to do it one more time. Remember, right goes over left. Okay, so bring your palms together, open your fingers, and then cross your ring fingers, right over left. Once they're crossed, bring the opposite pinkies to touch. So the left pinky touches the right middle finger. The right pinky touches the left middle finger. That's going to give you this cute little, I'm going to put my other fingers down so you can see that. This cute little thing here, right? Your pinkies and your rings should look like so. Now, you're going to do the same thing with the next two fingers. Cross your right middle finger over your left. It does help to keep your palms together, and it also helps to open the bottom of the palms, the back of the hands here. Okay, so you've got your right middle finger over your left. Same thing. Touch the pad of the index. Left index, right middle. Right index, left middle. So now you've got two layers of this thing that reminds me of a fence or cow horns, right? Bring your thumbs to touch. Remember, it can be helpful to open the bottom side of the mudra. Adjust, allow yourself to be flexible. Find what works for you as best that you can hold it. And then bring it here to your sternum. Higher to your heart if you can. Lower it here on the bottom of your sternum. If you desire to do so, it is easier for me to go a little lower. Thomas, we were just laughing about that on Saturday. Thomas came in and said, milk crate advice. Nice. And we were laughing because there's several people who come in and they take milk crates and they use milk crates as a way to be like, I don't know, something, right? As a way to like troll me or something. And we laugh about how valuable, like clearly folks don't know the value of a milk crate. Like, one, they're hard to come by. Two, they're extremely versatile and what's the word I'm looking for? Long lasting, right? It's not some stupid cheap plastic shit that's going to fall apart. These things have been with me for years and have been through several incarnations and have been bookshelves and all manner of other things in many living spaces. The funny thing, right? Isn't that the funny thing? The value in the versatility. The value in the versatility. But it cracks me up. It cracks me up. Okay, so here is the Surabhi Mudra. This mudra balances the Vata dosha, balances air, the air element in the body, which can create racing thoughts, which can cause us to become dehydrated, cause dry skin, cause anxiety. And a sense of being scattered. It also reduces inflammation. It opens the Manipura chakra. This is the solar plexus chakra. It opens the solar plexus, which is our center for will. It treats cough and bile disorders as well. It enhances memory, awakens empathy, and this mudra helps us discover our innate gifts. Helps us discover that golden nugget of wisdom, right? That we each bring. We each have this unique gift to bring to the world, a unique song to sing, right? A unique, you can call it a dharma or a purpose or a destiny if you want to. I just call it a frequency. Just like the shape of my iris and the fingerprints on my hands. My frequency is unique to me, just like yours is as well. And this, in its own way, is my gift that I get to give to the world. Just like your gift is your resonance, authentic resonance. this mudra helps us hear, helps us align, helps us discover that which is truly aligned with that frequency, so that we can clear our systems out and sing our song loud and clear. I like to think of humanity as a chorus, and we need each and every note. We need each and every bit of the song, each and every instrument, for the song to ring true. So, for the spiritual benefit of all beings, Jai Surabhi, Jai Surabhi, Jai Surabhi. This is particularly good. Remember I said it reduces inflammation, but it's particularly good for things like rheumatoid and arthritis, which I find is funny because it's such a twisty mudra. Lynn, Lynn, my love. Have a great day. Enjoy your drive. I will be on for a little bit today, and then I have a 2 o'clock appointment, so we will end before 2, and we will sit with our mudra several times. Generosity. Generosity of heart. Discovering our unique gifts. What is for me? How do I discover my purpose? How do I discover my truth? How do I discover my authenticity? How do I find that? What's funny is in those words, how do I find that? Oftentimes in my mind, I put that outside of me. I'm seeking my purpose. I'm traveling around the world and meeting people and trying different experiences to discover my purpose and see what's aligned with me. And I did that. I did that for a long time. And I got a pretty good idea, right? I had a pretty good parameter of what purpose might look like for me. But it wasn't until I started asking my system itself, not the reflections outside of me. I know they're outside talking, Ajna, but do you want me to put you out there with them? I'm not going out there right now. I'm not going out there right now. It also works for the dog nose. Do you want me to put you outside? Oh. All right, hold on. Dog needs some outside time, so let me put him outside. Hey, come on, let's go. I'm not going with you, though. I'm gonna open that door, and you're gonna look at it and be like, what, you're not coming? And then you're gonna not come back in. You're gonna do it? You're gonna do it? You're gonna do it right? You're gonna do it? You're gonna do it? Hey, guys. Ozma's coming out. Lylin, can you keep an eye on Ozma, please? Yeah. He wants to go outside. He wants to be out there with you guys. He hears you talking. Just make sure he doesn't wander too far, please, okay? Thank you, Boo. Gam gam ganamati sharanam ganesha. Gam gam ganamati sharanam ganesha. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why this mantra has been stuck in my head all weekend. What? Am I being too loud? Sorry. I'm not meaning to disrupt your nap. Did you guys fucking hear that? Did you fucking hear that? Hello? What do you need? Anyone want a kitten? Confirmation kitty. Have you ever met a Maine Coon? Have you ever met a Maine Coon cat? The things they say about Maine Coons are abso-fucking-lutely true. I had never met a Maine Coon until one showed up in my yard last year as an itty-bitty kitten. I was sure I had a bobcat in my hands because he looked, okay, I'm petting you. He looked just like a bobcat. Luckily, he turned out not to be a bobcat, and he turned into quite a beautiful. They are more like dogs. Yes, he will follow me around on a walk. Um, I've never put a leash on him because he just follows me on the walk. Um, he's one of those. They're those cats that will like headbutt you and like put their paws on your face to get your attention and stuff and chat at you. Like I hear him from a mile a fucking way calling, "It's dinner time." Super sweet, lots of personality, and they do keep growing. So he's a year and a half old. Never heard of them. Yeah, Maine Coon. Maine, like the state, right? Maine. Coon, like a raccoon. Derek, trying to figure out how to modify the mudra. Your fingers just don't cross over that way. Modify as best you can. Get as close as you can. We're going to scoot over here for a second. Get as close as you can. Right over left, right over left. Opposite, opposite. I do have long fingers, right? So try opening your palms. Try putting them together, right? Try different ways of doing this mudra. You know what? The traditional mudra is right over left, but try left over right. See if that's a little easier for you. So yes, we have 3 Maine Coon cats, and they all have tons of personality, and we absolutely need to rehome them though, because Mama Cat, who's a slinky black cat, is getting really stressed out at this point because they are almost they're 3 months old now, right? June, July, August. Yes, they're 3 months old now. So they need new homes. No, I am not going to ship them in the mail. It's traumatic as fuck for a cat. I'm not going to do it. But if you are in the Oregon area, hey, Tori! If you're in the Oregon area, I am happy to drive to meet you somewhere. I am not in a hurry to rehome the cats, but Mama Cat would really appreciate it as soon as we do. But they are companion cats. They are companion cats. Where are you? You're in New York City. You've always wanted one. Dang it! If you want to fly out to Oregon, I know it's a lot for a cat, but I had a cat shipped to me. I didn't have it. Like somebody offered to ship me the cat, and I was like, I guess so. From New York to Washington, and I knew the cat before it got shipped, and I can tell you it was a completely different cat when it arrived. They do that with chicks too. They do it with chicks, they do it with dogs, they do it with cats, they do it with. They have nannies for the plane. Nice. You have an apartment? Do you think it will be too small for your apartment, J Falcon? No, they're fantastic. I mean, I don't. No, they're. I mean, they're big cats. If you've seen, I don't know how big he's going to get, but some of them get like quite large, closer to dog size, bigger than cat size. Where's Daddy Cat? I don't know where Daddy Cat is right now, but if he comes in, I'll show you guys. And with ducks too. Yep. Yeah, they ship all kinds of animals, but D, the Ganesh. So I've been singing this Ganesh. Is my son singing it in the background? I have a really great app called Navasham. You'll meet me halfway. Yes. And on Navasham, they are big and fluffy, Derek. On Navasham, there's a lot of really great. J Falcon, you live in Portland? Fuck yes, let's meet. I'll meet you halfway too. Or maybe I'll just make a trip up to Portland. It's been a while. I don't even know if I could write down the mantra. Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha. Gam Gam Ganamati. Yeah. I should like write down the mantra and post a video about it. I actually will. I will write down the mantra and post a video about it because it goes really well with this mudra. So the mudra, I mean, this is the cow mudra, and Ganesh is the elephant. But Ganesh is also about abundance and boons and comfort, right? And so this does offer comfort in the sense that it balances the frenetic energies in the system, right? It offers comfort because it opens up our Manipura chakra, our solar plexus chakra, our center for will, our center for confidence, our center for safety and security. Awakens empathy. You only know one Ganesh mantra. Again, check out the Navasham app. It's free. You can use it for free, but when you pay $1.99 a month, $1.99 a month, you get daily mantras, and they'll give you mantras for different days and other fun stuff like that. There's a lot more on there when you pay $1.99, and it's totally worth $1.99. There's a lot of really fun mantras, and I'll just put it on in the background. Some days, especially during the weekend, I'll just have those mantras playing in the background. Navasham, yep. Navasham, one word. I suppose we could get in the mudra like this, right? Put your palms together, open all your fingers, cross your right, middle, and ring fingers over each other. That's complicated now. Touch the opposite pads of the fingers. So the left index touches the right middle. Right index touches the left middle. Left pinky touches the right ring. Right pinky touches the left ring. Oh, verify to continue. Verify to continue as soon as I put my hands in a mudra. Let's see if I can verify with the mudra. I'll show you TikTok. Then bring your thumbs together. And bring your thumbs together. It's held at the heart. You can also lower it a little bit to hold closer to the Manipura chakra. This reduces inflammation, particularly like arthritic rheumatoid inflammation, so of the joints. But this piece of exploration, this piece of discovery that this offers us, to be able to discover our innate gifts. When I was little, I had my first spiritual experiences that gave me these little gifts, right? When I was little, I saw that within each of us is that divine spark, right? But in my vision, it was covered by something. So it's as if we each come into the world with that spark, with this light, with this gift, with a golden nugget, with whatever you want to call it, right? A treasure that is only ours, unique to us. No one has this same treasure. No one has ever offered this same treasure. It is uniquely a treasure that only you offer. It resides in your heart. And in our early years of development, we're trying to determine, our system is trying to determine how accepting, how receptive the world is to your unique gifts. And if the world is not so accepting, if the world is not so welcoming to the authentic version of you, your system begins to put up boundaries, put up protections. Your system's entire job is to protect that divine light, is to protect that golden nugget, that gift that you have for the world, until you can express it, until you can give it out to the world. Because of our culture, for many of us, it means that that little golden nugget, that little spark, gets sheltered by layer and layer and layer and layer, and maybe buried deep within us. As a kid, I saw it literally as like calcification, right? It's like this growth would be built around the heart, around this gift, as a means to protect it. But that means that at some point later in life, those of us who had to protect that gift now have to chisel away at it again, to rediscover it, to uncover it. Most of us have been led quite far away from our authentic selves, and that was for the purpose of fitting into society. It was for the purpose. Purpose. Porky Pig over here. For protecting your divinity. I feel like it's one of the most common struggles that we have. What am I here for? Why am I here? Why am I alive? What am I supposed to do with my life? Well, keep asking that question. Because there is something special and unique. Remember earlier I mentioned how I like to talk about humanity like a body. I mean, like an instrument. Like an instrument. Like a body too, but like an instrument. Talk about the body like an instrument and humanity like a chorus. We need each note, we need each instrument to be in its spot. On stage, in the chorus, on the stage of life, right? So that the song sounds true and rings through the universe as it's intended. You know, when you're watching a symphony or you're listening to a symphony, right? If they put the tubas in this spot, the tubas over here and the flutes over there and the violins over here. Can you imagine if they were all fucking mixed around and shit? The music would not quite sound the way that it was supposed to. It would sound like chaos. So if you're experiencing a reordering in your life, consider that you may be being led toward your place in the chorus, toward the best spot for that note that you sing to resonate with the other notes nearby. Just like two strings on a guitar. If I pluck the wrong two strings together at the wrong key, whatever, it sounds flat, it sounds like shit, it sounds weird, it sounds like the guitar is broken. But the guitar is not broken. It's just not tuned in. See you later, friend. I love you. Leb, between the mudra and the discussion, I'm feeling some much needed movement today. There's been a lot of movement happening. That last moon shifted something. I know for me personally, I'm also coming into my birthday time, so that's usually a chaotic time, but I'm also hearing it echoed everywhere else. I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling squeezed, I'm feeling confused, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling... Let go and let God. That universal life force, that prana, that flows through everything in the universe. At the end of meditation, I was saying, right? This is my favorite thing to say after meditation and remind myself. I say these things to remind myself. That life force is always flowing through the path of least resistance. Water always flows through the path of least resistance to return to the ocean. Hey, Freddie, how are you? Water flows back to the ocean, back to source, no matter where it is. Water is always trying to return home. The energy that flows through this entire universe is a lot like water, in that it flows through the path of least resistance to return home, to return to source. That energy flows through everything in the whole universe. It is the tide. It has an ebb and flow. It has a direction. When we learn to be flexible when we learn to meet life with curiosity and willingness, when we practice acceptance and authenticity, then life flows through us without resistance. And when life flows through us without resistance, there is no need for tension in my system. That same tension that leads me away creates resistance with life. If I stand firm in the river, that resistance is pressure on my body. It's palpable is the word I'm looking for, but not the word I'm looking for, but the word that came up. But when I learn to align with the flow of the river, then even when chaos happens, I flow through it. It flows through me, around it, through it, over and under as need be. And there's less of me having to drive and control and grip the steering wheel to try to force myself back upstream. Instead, I allow life to deliver me. This for me is faith. This for me is trust. But it was a trust, a faith, that no matter how much I tried to put in a higher power outside of myself, I really struggled to do so because I didn't cultivate it within. And that's what for me the last several years have been. Cultivating the faith in myself, the trust in myself, to be able to meet life. Sure, I can trust God, right? I can trust the flow of life. But if I don't trust myself to align with the flow of life, well then who cares if I trust the flow of life at all? If I can't get with the program, it doesn't matter if I can trust it or not. Freddie? Exactly, I'm a mailman. I'm okay at work, but driving is my problem. I hate driving. Driving is about control, right? And is about moving through the flow, being able to move with the flow. Driving is its own thing, moving with the flow of traffic, moving with the ebb and flow of the rest of everybody else involved in their ebb and flow. And the way that we feel in the moment is going to affect our ability to respond to the whatever comes up while we're driving. You okay, babe? We are all moving energies along nicely. Agreed, Derek. That's what I want to encourage everyone, right? If you are feeling squeezed by life, recognize that that is what the birth canal feels like. You are rebirthing. I used to work in birth. I was a doula for many years. Saw a lot of babies squeezed out into the world. And I can tell you that that process during the birthing process, what's happening to the baby's body? Holy moly, is it getting squeezed and squished? Why is the skull still in sections so that it can literally get squeezed through the birth canal? Life is going to do that to you again and again and again and again. Not because life is trying to close you out, but because you have outgrown the space. Perspective is everything. Life is squeezing me out. I've outgrown this part of my life. Yes? No. I heard the cans drop. I know. Are you choosing to, like, fall into the... Or are you... What kind of assessment? Where do you think your scales are? Is this a balanced assessment, or is it like a, oh, life has been hard kind of assessment? Okay.
That really startled me and got my heart racing.
Oh, okay, I see. So it triggered anxiety, it triggered fear, it triggered a little bit of adrenaline. Do you want a hug to ground out? Stay right there. Stay right there. You can't come alive. Hold on, guys. Come here. It's okay. Okay, take a deep breath. That's okay. I want you to go ahead and have a snack first, okay? Let's put a little bit of water on your face, okay? Go ahead and turn on the water. Oh no, it did get you a scratch.
Well, that was actually from cat. It was more kitty.
Oh, Merc.
And scratch when I was out there.
Okay. All right, so get yourself a snack, okay? Water in your face can help. Yeah, relax everything. Okay. Oops. All right. Go ahead and get yourself a snack, babe, okay? And then close this so those crazy flies don't get in here. Hi, Titan. What are you? You're falling off. No, this kitten's in here accompanying me for class today. Can you please close that? What is with you?
I need a kitten.
Lord mercy.
I need a pet kitten that needs pets, though.
Honey,
It will
you
help
need
me
a...
feel better.
I understand. There's other kittens. Can you go grab a snack is what you need. That's going to help your body be able to manage the adrenaline. Thank you, guys. It just startled him. You want some pets too, Tori? Come on over. When we meet halfway, I'll give you some pets. You. So this is what I'm saying. This is like super typical Maine Coon, right? Companion kids. Freddie, you have 4 kids, but you made so many mistakes. Listening and trying to reconnect. I want to encourage everyone, right? So my education is in the field of human development and wellness. I spent 12 years in college and 20 plus years in the field studying and working in the field. And my biggest, I used to work as a parenting educator. I used to do parent coaching and that kind of stuff. Child development specialist. And the first thing I would tell every single parent, guess what? It's your job to fuck up. It's your job to make mistakes. As I said to my son actually just the other day, yeah, unfortunately, every parent is an asshole at some point. Because the value that we teach our children is not in showing them how perfect we are. It is in showing them how human we are and how to manage being human. If I pretend that I'm perfect, my child never sees me practice humility. My child never sees me practice forgiveness, right? Or asking for forgiveness. Never practice personal responsibility. The best thing that I can do for my child is when I do make a mistake, when I do something that doesn't feel aligned with what I really want, who I really want to be, right? Or what I want to offer my child, then I acknowledge it. And we move through it together. What does that mean, move through it together? Usually I acknowledge it. I ask him, this is a big thing in our house. I ask him how I can make it better. Because I can acknowledge that I was involved in this, responsible for my actions. It doesn't have to be blame or shame or guilt. I don't have to feel awful because I did a terrible thing. I'll go, oh, I realize that this behavior created this scenario. And this scenario triggered that reaction for you. So because I care, right, and because I don't want these situations to be triggering, I'm going to see where I can adjust. But we do this together. So where can you adjust to? Where can we meet in the middle? How can we meet in the middle? And then moving forward, when it happens, I try to make sure, right, this whole like, I can't say sorry and do nothing about it and never change anything. Fuck. One of the most powerful things that you can do is admit you're wrong and apologize to your kids. One of the most powerful things that you can do is just listen to what they have to say and to trust them to speak their truth. Our children speak their truth so much more than we do because oftentimes we have learned to hide our truth. If you want to see divinity in pure expression, look at a toddler. They are pure truth, pure energy, pure light, right? And it's during these stages and even before that we start to shut down, start to teach them to shut down their authenticity. So I encourage you, be real, be true. Fuck up, make mistakes, And then show them how to own it. Show them how to manage it. Show them how to walk through your own growth, to own your own shit without pointing a single finger at anybody else. That's power. That's power. Teach them to cultivate that inner power, that inner knowing, so that the world won't push and pull them the same way it pushed and pulled us. D, Montessori. I worked as a Montessori teacher for a little bit, studied Montessori, really appreciate the Montessori perspective, and applied a lot of it to my son when he was young. Follow the child. It reminds me of, again, that poem that you guys hear me mention sometimes, the poem called On Children by Khalil Gibran. It's a beautiful poem. I encourage you to read it yourself. Maybe one of these days I'll actually print the whole thing out and have it here. But essentially, he says that the parent is the bow and the child is the arrow. Because it is the responsibility of the parent to bend as far as they can to propel that arrow forward. Because time moves in this direction, from the bow through the arrow and forward. And thusly, we should never expect our children to be in our image. If anything, we should hope to be in theirs. And I hope you take that and sit that in your heart. No matter where you are as a parent, no matter where you are with your children, whether they're, from your own loins or not. Many of us are parents in many different ways. But take that, plant that seed, and see what grows. Aim to be in your children's image. Let them lead. Let them show you how to be authentic. Let them show you what the world is becoming. They are becoming. Tori, I hope to be half as cool as my kids. Find the poem, please. Yes, exactly. Freddie, I let my oldest daughter do whatever. I made mistakes. That's okay. It was a learning opportunity for you and for your children. Remember that these gifts that we give our children sometimes are the traumas, are the mistakes, are the fuck-ups, because then that gives them the building blocks to later heal. And so that we can later mend our relationship too. Yes, the neighbor dogs are barking, but it's not your business. Whatever it is not your business. Yeah, it's not your beef. It's not your beef. I hear them, but they're like half a mile away. It's not your beef. Thank you, dog. Derek, just seeing, let me see. In relation to what you're saying about getting with the program, I often struggle with knowing how to best get out of my own way and just do the things. That, isn't it, a foundational piece to mindfulness practice? How do I get out of my own way and just do the things? It depends. How are you standing in your way, right? For me, really getting out of my own way is figuring out how I was standing in my way in the first place. Figuring out what it was within me that was causing resistance. I did a lot of thought processing and physical stuff and whatnot, and really it came down to noticing the places where I felt tension. That subtle. That layer. When I am moving through something or towards something and I experience tension in my breath, in my body, in my brain, in my being, then I pause and I ask that tension, hey, is this for me or is it not for me? There is tension that is for me, right? If I'm going to build muscle, if I'm going to go to the gym and get all yoked out, I've got to create tension for that process to happen. So there are times in life where we are squeezed, where tension is created, where we must use some kind of force to move through something. Right? That's the duality. That's the nature of duality. Some things take rest. Some things are we be. Some things we do. It was there in that pause. Right? Yes. Each time. I spent a lot of time up here with it. I spent a lot of time asking questions and thinking about it. I spent a lot of time noticing the feelings coming up and then creating a story about them. But the simple, the foundation, we're going to distill it down without all the complexities and the dogma and the bullshit and the stories, and we're going to turn it into something as simple as possible. And that simple is this for me? Is it not for me? Another way to ask, is this inclusive or exclusive? Is this inclusive of all my parts? Is this inclusive of all parties involved? Is this for me? Is it something I'm prepared to experience? Is it something that I feel okay moving through, even if it's got a little bit of tension, even if it's scary? Listen to me, please. If your system says no, stop, don't, it doesn't mean that that thing is never for you. It may mean that right now it's not available to you. How do I want to say? There's pieces there too. Trust your system. The defenses that are created within our system are there to protect our system. The way to get past those defenses is not to attack or be forceful or deny your system's truth. Those defenses will stay there until you are willing to allow that truth, honor that truth, until your system can trust you, ego, to honor its vulnerability. Maddie, have a great nap. Sending you love. Each of us born into these magnificent meat bags. Little spark of divinity planted in this lovely little meat bag. And my system stays unconscious in the theta brainwaves. That's the dream time. That's REM sleep. That's like deep visualization meditation, intentional meditation. Like that's juicy headspace, right? That's not fully conscious. This now, talking to you, being out in the world as adults, we operate in the alpha, beta, and gamma brainwaves. Theta is the REM sleep time. Theta is I'm dreaming. Theta is the brainwaves, is the max brainwave that the child's brain experiences up until the age of about 7 or 8. What is happening during that time? During those first 7, 8 years? This is the enculturation process. My system is absorbing and learning to respond to the environment that I am in. And I'm not even fully present for it. And the way that my system decides to respond is really just about whether or not it's safe. Is it safe to be loud? Is it safe to be silly? Is it safe to throw a tantrum? Is it safe to ask for what I want? Is it safe to tell someone no? Is it safe to say yes? Is it safe to seek comfort? Is it safe to ask for your needs to be met? Is it safe? Is it safe? Beautiful. Beautiful, Derek. Right? Your system is actually building a map of how to navigate the world. That is created while you are unconscious. Your system, the wisdom within your system, because it is wisdom to protect you. Now, the mechanisms of protection are developed during those first 8 or so years. Some of them are developed a little bit later in teenage years and whatnot, and we can redevelop new ones. But that means that those ego characters, as they are manifest, as they are drawn and written into your map at that early stage, they're going to be equally mature as you were in those stages. We're not very mature when we're 2. We're not very mature when we're 5. So the tools that I use to protect myself are going to be on par with the person I was, with the maturity level I had at that time. That's how you end up seeing the 50-year-old gentleman in Lowe's, right, in Home Depot, who's throwing a tantrum because they don't have the right fittings that he needs. And you go, oh, that part of your map was developed and solidified when you were like, what, 4, 2, right? And you have continued using that exact same road to get your needs met. When you feel like your needs are getting met, or you feel like somebody's denying your needs, or whatever it is, right? That's an imbalance in your energy system. That manifests as an imbalance in your energy system. That imbalance in my energy system is going to resonate all around me and therefore echo back to me my own imbalance. I get really excited about this because this system is such a powerful and dynamic system. And when we understand it from the processes perspective, it takes out the story. It takes out having to blame my parents. It takes out having to blame my caregiver. It takes out having to feel victimized by my situation. Instead, I go, oh, wow, how fucking cool. My system was so wise and so intelligent, let's say that. So intelligent that while I was still sleeping inside of it, it was doing everything it could to protect me. Now I recognize that my system is nothing but my ally. That means that my racing thoughts are not attacking me. That means that the pains and the discomfort and the tension in my body is not trying to get me, right? Trying to tear me down. That means that negative self-talk that feels judgmental is doing its best to keep me safe. April! Meet it with curiosity. Interest and curiosity. Curiosity and willingness. So when I have that perspective about my system, now when I go into my system, I can meet it with compassion, with curiosity, with willingness. I can look at it not from this place of, I gotta fight my way to figure things out. I gotta fight my way to change behaviors. I gotta fight. We are not in the business of creating a battle within ourselves. As you guys know, my mother's wise words. If you create an enemy of yourself, it is a battle you will fight every day. And that will become a war that you will wage your entire life long. Is that how you want to live? If the answer is no, then we must. The only answer then is to befriend the self. What? Befriend my anger? Befriend road rage? Befriend the judgmental bitch that's up here saying nasty shit about me? Befriend the needy motherfucker who keeps going into stupid relationships where I get taken advantage of? Yeah. As radical as it sounds, yes. Your system is made of energy. Runs on energy, right? And when you break everything down, it really all just is energy. And we understand that energy never dies. It's just transferred. So the energy in your system, the finite energy in your system, the finite experience of the energy in your system, right, is the rise and fall of that energy. If it is finite, it is malleable. Oftentimes, the energy that manifested as the negative self-talk here, which was intended to keep me safe by keeping me in line the best way it knew how, that was intended for something else. That energy was intended for something that was truly me. That energy was intended for something authentic. And I can tell you that negative self-talk is not really authenticity. It's not really the full expression of my truth, of my purpose, of my being. That negative self-talk is there to create tension, to compartmentalize, to protect, and to keep safe. The more I argue with that negative self-talk, the more she remains. Because she knows what it was like when we were 2 or 3. And she is absolutely certain that it is her job and will forever be her job. Diligent. Can you imagine how powerful, how grateful you can be to realize that that negative self-talk, that's been there since you were how old? Day in and day out, here to protect you, to be with you, to remind you how to stay safe. Thank you. And in my appreciation, in my gratitude, now I create space for that negative self-talk, for that self-talk. I meet her where she's at. I listen to what she has to say. And then I update her. Because she's been 2 or 3 this entire time. Just echoing the words of my environment. Maybe she's 4 or 5. And she's going to stay that way until I update her. She resides inside of me. She is not conscious and privy of the external world around me except when it wakes her, except when it triggers her, except when she goes, wait! That's not safe. Thanks, Wyatt. Love you too. Freddie, I keep going after the wrong woman, but I'm not a bad guy. Listen to this. This is really important because a lot of us do that. Our energy leads us in the wrong direction or to the wrong relationship or to the wrong situation. Why? It is reflecting our imbalance. So that means that if I keep walking into a situation where, let's say, for example, I'll use my own as an example, right? This is an echo of your energy body. Your energy body is developed and settled into its place, same time frame as your body and brain and personality are all developing. So that's where it's settled is also in a young place, also immature, also as a means to protect you. Example. I learned that I did not have much autonomy. I was not allowed to have much of a voice. I was not allowed to be forceful. I was not allowed to be loud. And so my solar plexus pulled the energy in and up. That's what we do when the energy cannot come out and be expressed as it's intended to. So it results in a bit of a deficiency here, a bit of a pulling in of energy here in my solar plexus. This is my center for will. This is my center for confidence. This is my center of control. It's also my center for generosity. So my system pulled it up here, and when it pulled up here into the heart, well, as a young little girl in the US, I was absolutely taught that this was a perfect expression of my energy. So I started giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, and I learned more and more. The more I gave, the more rewarded, right? A little bit I become. The safer I am. So my system believes. So my system believes. So as it develops, I go into my 20s. Oh, hi, Stefta. I go into my 20s and into my 30s if unexamined, and later if unexamined, with this energy here in my system. And because this energy here is pulling in, is wanting, I seek others who puzzle just right with me. What does that mean, puzzle? I seek someone who has a big solar plexus. I can say sought, right? Because I'm not doing that anymore. Yay. Someone with maybe a little overconfidence, someone with a higher need for control and a higher degree of aggression. Now, I, in my imbalance, saw that as power. Look at how much confidence, look how much power this person has. Look at how much control they have over their lives. And when I feel like I don't have a lot of control and I don't have a lot of confidence, that looks beautiful. And I feel very much attracted to them because I receive something that my system needs by being with them. And guess what? If that person's energy as they were developing went here, right? Let's start from the base. Safety. Your root chakra is safety. Many of us, almost all of us, in fact, I would say I don't know a single person without root chakra imbalance or who didn't have it before they worked on it, right? That's safety, security. If I don't feel safe in the world, if you're left to cry it out in a crib by yourself in the dark for most of your childhood, if you were hurt, if you went through that kind of stuff as a child, that root chakra, that energy is going to go whoop up a little higher. Let's go to the sacral chakra. This is my breadbasket. This is my umbilical cord. This is my nourishment. This is my vulnerability. This is my ability to set physical boundaries. This is also my space for intimacy and pleasure and enjoying things in life and movement. Again, if I had trauma during these early stages of development here, what's the energy going to do again? It's going to pull up higher. Lev, have a wonderful day. Love you. Now, as I'll use my son's dad as an example because him and I have very similar upbringings. But as a young boy here in the West, what was he taught? He pulled that energy up from safety. He pulled that energy up from nourishment, right? And when he was young, he may be even told, stop cuddling. That's weird. Don't hug your friends. Boys don't do that. So this nourishment, this desire for intimacy and closeness and friendship, that gets pulled up too. And now it's here in the solar plexus. And what do we tell our young boys? Oh, boys will just be boys. And the first place they learn to express that energy is through the solar plexus. And so we have generations of the masculine in our culture with these big solar plexus energies trying to force their way through life to find balance and safety, to find nourishment and safety, those lower energies. Why? How does it work for those of us that are extremely extroverted, loud and prideful and strong? Me. So remember, this is not a bad thing, right? It's not. This is not good or bad. We're gonna talk about it from a place of pulled back. No need for judgment. No need for making stories out about it. It just is. Because someone who has a big solar plexus may be narcissistic, may be really physically aggressive. They may also be just like the biggest, brightest person in the room. This energy can manifest in a lot of different ways. There is not one size fits all. There is not one story for every single person. This is a dynamic and unique system, and it's unique to you. That's why I don't read people, right, and do energy work and stuff on these things. I do it privately, one-on-one, usually. Occasionally I'll send a piece here and there. This is a unique system. Dog? Sir? Oh. Okay, hold on. What? You're just going to talk? What? Go ahead. Go ahead. No, honey, I'm teaching. And I'm trying. Dog's interrupting me several times. Dog's being doggish today. Dog is real doggish today. Okay, so. Where were we? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to sit on your foot. Sorry, kitten. You're just so cute. You're just so cute. Hey, Brian, how are you? Thanks, Mystic. Okay. Oh. Okay, so we're talking about the big solar plexus. We're talking about young boys, right? My son's dad is an example. This big open solar plexus. So what a perfect match. When I met his father, I felt safe. I felt protected in a way that that made me feel like this was a really good relationship for me. And for him, because again, we're talking about the masculine here in the Western culture, right? So let's say they get up here and they have in a typical American situation, right? That lets them express this here. Well, as they develop a little bit older, this your heart starts to develop between the ages of like 5, 6. Your heart chakra starts to develop. During this time, in child psychology, we call it the era of playground politics, because this is when our children start to develop those friendships and community and external relationships outside of the family, outside of the caregivers, outside of the people they know. 5, 6, 7, 8. That's when children start to learn about their own friendships and have friend groups, and that all community for them starts. What happens at that same time or just shortly after for our boys? Intimacy between friends. Are you allowed to hug your friends, your guy friends? Are you allowed to cry? I know that when I was growing up, I was born in the 80s, and when I was growing up, my brother went through this thing where he used to be sweet and snuggly and like funny, and he'd cry and he'd have all, he's just a normal person. He was a normal person with all of his stuff. And then right about the age of like 8, it seemed like he suddenly put a veil over all of that, and he became quieter and held back his emotions and became more rigid in the way that he held his body and held his feelings and held his energy. And it shocked me because I was like, this is such a young, like he's my heart. My brother was always my heart, such a sweet, playful, exuberant person. And then to see him about that time start to do this and start to shut down. There's a beautiful documentary called The Mask You Live In. It's a play on masculine. If you are interested in broaching this conversation about what this culture does to our young men, to our boys, I encourage you to watch that documentary. The Mask You Live In. Many young men do during that stage. That's when you start to get these images of don't throw like a girl, right? Or you're gay or whatever for acting that way. It's not hate speech, TikTok. So what happens when they try to pull the energy up to their heart? It skips up. Because culturally, our young girls are taught to be caretakers, caregivers. And our boys are taught to be a man. Now, obviously, it's a general overgeneralization, but it is an energetic stereotype that happens in our culture. So you end up with women like this and men like this. Not because they're heartless and cold, but because their systems, their culture, their experience needed to be safe. To be safe, needed to do this. That does not mean, D, have a great day, that they don't have the capacity to then do this. Ultimately, we're all looking for a nice balance here. Not this. Not this! But this. Nice, balanced. So what do we end up doing? Wyatt, was that you? Mentioning serving in the military? Yes, that's another piece. What when you serve in the military, what do you have to do? How does that affect the system? Whoa. That's its own enculturation process, because the military is its own culture, and they have to enculturate you because they have to make you part of the culture for you to do the job. It's its own manipulation process. And I don't mean that as like a negative, or judgmental thing, because our culture manipulates us too. We're humans. We manipulate, and the universe manipulates us. It's an exchange. It's always happening. It's not a judgment. It's a, this is what happens so that we can get our needs met, right? You become machines, yes. So what ends up, how does this manifest into our adult lives then? Derek, back in an hour? I will probably be here in an hour, yeah. How does this manifest in our lives? I ended up in a relationship with his dad. Now, we were friends for years, and we won't get into where we are now. We're still working it out. But I felt safe with his huge solar plexus confidence. And he felt cared for by my big open heart chakra, because his heart chakra was like this. And my solar plexus was like this. And this, my friends, is how we find ourselves in these twin flame relationships. And I use this twin flame because what this is the way that we puzzle together. A twin flame relationship is my imbalances matching your imbalances so that we fit just right. Can this be an opportunity for growth and reflection? 100%. Do we use it mostly as a means of discovering our systems and realigning and healing and whatever? Not really. We rarely do. I find more often that people end up in those relationships and just perpetuate each other's imbalances. In fact, by his dad's overblown big solar plexus, excessive solar plexus, I didn't even need to work on my confidence. I didn't need to work on my solar plexus. I can just stay stagnant and comfortable in his solar plexus energy. And he did the same. He stayed comfortable and safe in my big open heart chakra energy. He didn't have to work on his heart chakra. And that ultimately became the thing that broke our relationship. Why? Because your system is reordering, your system is naturally healing, your system is seeking alignment. It's just like the universe. We reorder and then devolve into chaos, and then reorder again and then devolve into chaos, and then reorder again and then devolve into chaos. That chaos allows us to reorder. Without that chaos, we cannot reorder. And so when I find myself in those imbalances, it will continue to become more and more intense until we either find balance or I change the situation. That's the squeeze. That's the pressure of life, is your energy saying, hey, I'm trying to fix this shit. Can we fix this shit? But at the same time, while your system is going, can we fix this shit? Part of your system is saying, nope, don't look at it. Don't touch it. Don't examine it. Don't consider it. God forbid, don't let that feeling out. Because at the same time, my system's also trying to keep me safe. So there's this push and pull. There's this battle going on within me. And again, that creates the tension. That creates the pressure in your life, in your body, in your mind, in your energy. And that, we come full circle, is the flow of life. Trying to move through you. But we narrow those pathways with tension, with holding. And what's even funnier is that then I take finite things, like my feelings, which are intended to rise and fall within me, like my heartbeat, like my breath, And when they rise within me, I don't want to see them. I don't want to express them. I don't want to talk about them. I don't want anybody else to see me cry. I don't want anybody else to see me angry. I don't want anybody else to see this silly side of myself. So what do? I take it and I shove it back in my system. Shh, 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 shh. No, 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 no. We'll just stuff that back in there. Nobody will know. Nobody will know. Nobody will know. Nobody will know. But what happens if you take a nice piece of cheese and you shove it in the back of your closet and you hide it in a shoebox and you leave it there for years? And every time it starts to stink, you just add another layer on top of it. Does it heal the thing? Does it get the stink out of your closet? No. Summer. Men and women complement imbalances. I've learned much, but lost too much. There's space right here in my heart, Summers, for that feeling of I lost too much. That was right where I was several years ago when a situation I was in nearly put me 6 feet under and resulted now in several chronic conditions that I deal with. I thought I had lost too much. I felt like I had lost too much. And so I woke up every day and chose the simplest of things. Summers, I hear you, and that's why I'm saying this. It was the simplest things. At the end of every day, hugging myself, patting myself on the back, and congratulating myself for making it through another day. At that time, I was dealing with addiction to keep myself above ground and also to passive-aggressively try to put myself in it, right? And instead of fighting with myself about that, instead of chiding myself, instead of bitching at myself, instead of aggravating my system even more with the same that I felt like life was doing to me, I started doing this what felt like a fucking radical thing. Good job. You made it through today. You only ate a whole box of chocolates. Good job. You could have had 2 boxes. You only had a 6-pack. Good job. You could have had a 12-pack. Fuck. You woke up at noon. Good job. You could have slept till 3. Because I realized that no one loved me. I thought I loved me. And I did, and I do. But I realized I didn't value me. And in my not valuing me, I lost trust with me. And I can say that I love me, but if I love me and can't trust me, I love me and I don't value me, then what does loving me truly provide? But the same feeling as I've gotten from others earlier in my life. Of you say you love me, but you don't support me, you don't take care of me, you don't whatever the things are, right? An external echo, an external mirror of what was going on inside of me. Summers, you say, I'm mothering and soothing myself. Love me, but you're right, I've turned away from myself. So during this process, this was just a couple years ago, not the lowest I've ever been in, I don't know, really close, like right on par with probably the lowest I've ever been in my life. The only thing that kept me alive is that I had my son. When I was in that space, I returned, the only thing I knew how to do was return to mindfulness, was just pay attention, was just to pay attention, was just to listen. And when I was sitting in meditation, halfway, drunkenly in meditation, pissed off at myself, I had this vision really clearly of walking through a temple. Now, I've always talked about this like a map, right? Or like a vessel, like a ship, or like an instrument. But this was the very first time that I recognized that this is the temple that is intended to protect, to house divinity. That light in my heart, that flow of prana that moves through me. This is the temple in which the divine also resides, as it does within you, within each of us. Within each of us are manifestations of tiny little temples for the divine. And I suddenly saw this little spark in there, and I heard, if you knew God had been here the whole time, if you knew that you were carrying a pure essence of divinity with you, and that it experienced everything you experienced, and listened to every word you said, and felt every feeling you felt, how would you speak to yourself? How would you treat yourself? How would you value an expression of that energy? We are all drops in the same ocean. If Source, God, is that ocean, we are pieces of it. God, Source, Divinity is the pure light moving through the entire universe, emitted from the frequencies, from that prana that flows through everything. And I am a color on the spectrum of that light. Source, God, my system is my protector. So by the same token, I am also the protector of the divine. I realized how many people I had let into my temple to take my resources. I realized that my definition of being a good person was to leave my temple doors wide the fuck open. And if anybody wanted to take what they needed, spend time with me, tell me all the things I need to, dump their energy on me, take energy from me, I was supposed to be there. But I'm the temple for everyone else to worship themselves through. Essentially, yeah. I had become a place where people can take, and many of us do. And honestly, the people who take are usually in genuine need, right? They have their own imbalance, maybe a deficiency in the heart chakra, and so they come and take of this big open-hearted energy. But it is in their ignorance and in my ignorance that we engage in this exchange at all. So I committed myself back to my path, back to my practice as an interfaith minister. I became celibate so that I could cultivate a relationship with myself for the first time in my life. I'm about to be 40 this year, and just a couple years ago was the first time I intentionally started building trust, started making space for myself, started really asking myself, is this for me or is this not for me? Is it inclusive, mean including me, or is it exclusive? Many of the things that I had done had been exclusive. And then I turned around and asked the world, well, I take care of everybody else. Why is nobody taking care of me? I give and I give and I give and nobody gives back. Well, if you hang your hat of happiness on somebody else, they can just fucking walk away with your hat. When I hang my hat on my own head, it's like putting my oxygen mask on first. I can model that for myself and for others. And instead, learn how to fish. Teach others how to fish once I figured out how to fish. Many of us go around wondering, where are all the fish? My basket is empty. And so we walk around to each other. Can I have some of your fish? Can I have some of your fish? In our ignorance. I don't use that as a means of like blame or shame or guilting anybody or being like, oh my God, we're so stupid. It's just in our ignorance. And ignorance is the darkness from which we enlighten ourselves. The path, the journey of enlightenment is bringing light to the system. What is light? Awareness. Awareness is light. And so I enlighten the system by becoming aware of the deeper and deeper layers of subtlety within that system. And then, this is where the magic comes in, my friends. This is where the fucking magic comes in. When I begin to enlighten my system, using that light, cultivating the light of my attention, aligning the light of my attention with my true authentic intentions, guess what happens? I can begin to shift the very nature of my reality. What? What do you mean? This is what I call quantum mindfulness. Because in quantum mechanics, we understand that the light of observation has the ability to shift, to bend space and time. Said another way, space and time shift around light. Light is the constant in our universe. Space and time change around them. My son said this really, 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 really well. Last night, we were looking at stars. And he stood in one direction or one perspective, and he's looking around, and we're moving around. And he's saying, why don't the stars move? And we spoke about perspective for a while. And I laughed at the simplicity of the profound, the profoundness of, and the simplicity of that perspective shifting. Because where I stand in my life is going to give me the perspective of my life. Not just where I stand in the world, but where I stand inside of me and where that awareness stands inside of me and what is between my awareness and my truth. Said another way, when the scales are out of balance, the measurement is always going to be askew. So if my perspective is shifted and tilted by the nature of the tension and the imbalance in my system, the way to align with my truth, the way to align those scales, level those scales, is by becoming aware of the blockages of the tension. Rachel Hope, welcome. Welcome to this space. G-Snap, thank you. How are you? So, Rachel Hope, and for anyone who is new here, Hello, my name is Reverend Deborah. I'm an interfaith minister, a movement facilitator, and your shenanigan shaman. And this is our CAYA community space. CAYA, CAYA, stands for Come As You Are, because authenticity is the purest expression of your divinity, and that's what we're doing in here. That's what we're doing in here. To cultivate a safe space for everyone to enjoy the space, we ask that you cultivate a sense of personal responsibility. We ask that you show up with curiosity and willingness so that you can afford yourself an opportunity to learn, to enlighten your system. Because when we approach each other and the world and our experiences with curiosity and willingness, we are open to receiving. When we approach with arrogance or tension, right? We prevent ourselves from learning, from understanding, and we also echo out our own imbalances. When people judge you, when people come in with the like snide commentary, when people try to troll you, when people try to belittle you, it is a direct reflection of the way that they speak to themselves, of the way that they treat themselves. Every judgment is an admission. So instead of being triggered by these things, instead of being like, and needing to fight back, right? Instead, I like to open my heart and have compassion because I've been there. I've been the person who says something nasty to somebody. I've been the person to roll my eyes. I've been the person to mock and make fun of people. I've been there. We all have. I've been a judgmental asshole too. I've been a fucking troll before too. I've been a fucking goblin. I've been a fucking piece of shit. TikTok, it's not hate speech. I'm talking about me. But it was an admission. It was an admission of the truth within me, of the imbalance within me, of the fear and the condemnation in which I was giving to myself. I was cultivating within myself. I was running out to the whole world and screaming about how insecure and angry I was. And we go around and we do this our entire lives. And we wonder why the universe responds to us in this way. Everything outside of you is just a reflection for what's going on inside of you. Nuh-uh. The world really does exist out there. Yes. 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 I'll say that yes with like a shakiness. Like a yes. 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 But your only experience of it, my only experience of it is as it happens inside of me. There is nothing that I experience outside of myself. The wind creates a sensation on my skin. When we're holding hands, it's the warmth and the sensation in my nerve endings in my palm that make me feel your hand, only inside of my hand. Every sound that occurs outside of me only exists for me when it echoes in my eardrum, when it vibrates my eardrum and is communicated to my brain as sound. And by the very nature of being alive, my ears can only hear a certain amount of sound and my eyes can only perceive a certain amount of color. Therefore, I am not even engaging. I am not even really engaging with the outside world outside of me, first of all. And the bit that I am engaging with is so fucking limited compared to the expansiveness of creation. I will forever remain ignorant by nature of being human. So it's funny to me when we operate with such arrogance, when we operate with such a place of like, I know there's only one right answer for everybody. I am your guru. You should totally just follow me and delete everything I say. You are your own guru. Guru simply means that which leads you from darkness to light, and therefore everything you receive from outside of you must be utilized within by you. Information is just information. Knowledge is just knowing things until you can distill it into information, into understanding, into experience, into the wisdom that comes from experience. Stuff tough. If a me falls in the woods and I'm not around to hear it, do I existed? Did I exist? I invite you to sit in meditation with that and tell me what happens. Wyatt. Thank you for the question. How do you reach me for a one-on-one? So just briefly, I will mention a couple of things. One, we have a free online space in Discord. I have a link tree. It'll get you all the links to all the stuff. The link is in my bio. You can't click it because I'm not a business account. So, Linktree, I move with change on Linktree. I move with change on Patreon. I move with change in all the places. So we have a free Discord space. Come join the Discord space. If you want to work one-on-one, if you want to explore this information more, if you want to hang out with the community, it doesn't matter what you want to do. If you want in, go into the Discord. If you want group coaching, that is available through membership. If you want private coaching, several different layers of that is available through membership as well. Those are available on Patreon. They're also available directly into Discord. So which is why I say everybody just stampede over to Discord, and we will hang out in the Discord. If you want to work one-on-one with me, I do various things from coaching by donation, which is donation-based coaching. It's only 15 minutes, and it's limited on how many times a month you can do that. Because if you're doing that several times a week, then you need to be in regular coaching, or at least in group coaching, right? So then we have group coaching, which is twice a week, and then I have once a month private coaching, weekly private coaching, and then I also have an intensive, which is a 40-day private coaching transformation process. I only do one of those at a time. I am also limited on the weekly coaching clients that I take because I put a lot of time and energy into those clients, into those sessions, right? So if you have questions, if you have questions of any kind, you can also just message me anywhere, everywhere, and I will respond with links or answers or whatnot as I can. Best place to communicate with me, the place I hang out is in the Discord. Plus, I drop a bunch of other fun stuff like the mudras and recipes and other things like that. The yoga flows for Fridays and all sorts of other stuff happens in the Discord. So everybody who wants to explore this more, go into the Discord. If you want anything beyond that, you can either go to patreon.com/move with change. You can send me a message directly, or we can chat about it in the Discord. There's information in the Discord. That is all I will say on that. Oh, also, in this space, information is free. I do teach these classes without charging anybody for them. So if you guys appreciate them, if you like the content, if you use the content, if you share the content, do me a favor and keep doing so, because that helps spread the message, that helps get the knowledge out there. And then if you would like to support the fact that I do this work, I do also accept one-time donations, and I also have a couple of monthly donation memberships. You can grab any of those memberships and make it a donation thing if you want to. You can do a one-time donation. You can also send me messages for those things. All of that said, that's all. That's all. Because this space is not about cash. This space, the link isn't working because I'm not a business. You'll have to copy and paste it, or you'll have to just type it back in. The TikTok treats business accounts differently. And has actually limited and caused me more violations and more problems with my account and with the stuff I'm posting, even though it's just educational content. No, you're all good. Thank you for, saying it. Yeah. See me in the Discord. Whoop, whoop. All right, good. I'm glad you guys are going in there. So, but the truth is, I changed it away from the business account because this isn't really about a business. I would like to turn this into a nonprofit, and if anybody knows how to do the nonprofit stuff, I would really love to trade services with you. Because this isn't about me creating a big bank account. This isn't about me doing that money mindset shit and like charging you guys an exorbitant amount. In fact, if the dollar sign keeps you out of a level of membership that you want, please reach out to me, because I do love service exchanges, trade, barter sort of stuff. And I have several things that I need help with, from tech support to editing to modding to Discord stuff and whatnot. If you have something to offer, reach out and offer it. Oftentimes, that's even more valuable than the dollar bill. However, I still have to keep the internet on, and I still have to pay the phone bill, and I still have to buy the kid new shoes. So, if you want to support me with cash, yay! If you want to just share the content, fuck yes, because we are now over 10,000 followers here on TikTok, which means the content, the free educational content, can actually fucking pay for itself. So share. Remember, too, everyone, one last note. Replays are always on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I move with change on YouTube, and all the replays from the classes go onto YouTube. I do have a membership level. It's just $11 a month for replay archive. I archive the replays after about a week or two. So if you have, if you would like to get all of the classes, I've been doing that channel for almost a year now. So there is a lot, and I've been going, what, 3-4 times a week for almost a year now. So there's a lot of fucking classes in there, including the chair yoga classes. So, Jackson, hello. Jackson asks, please, can you just be zen and not talk a lot? I prefer peace and quiet. Thank you. I'm curious, Jackson. Why is it that you believe that this space is specifically for you and should adhere to the things that you need, that you desire from this space? What is it that makes you believe that it is your right or authority to tell or ask anyone to adhere to your needs? You showed up in my space. You showed up in our space. You are welcome to come here authentically and to share these things. Man, I really love zen quiet spaces. Well, if you come into this space and it's not as zen and quiet as you'd like, then my friend, usher yourself to a space that is like you would like it to be. Funny, isn't it, how we go into a room and we say, God, I don't like this space, yet we stay there. I'm stuck here, I don't like it. I don't like it, but I'm stuck here. The way we victimize ourselves, the way we create suffering for ourselves by putting ourselves in situations that we know we don't like, that we know don't feel good, and then demand that somebody else change it for us. Giving away personal power. Giving away personal power. Admitting that I feel like I have almost no personal power. And therefore, I must use my force to have other people give me their power. That was a nice attempt there, Jackson. Jackson says, but do you see how you are occupying my space on the phone screen? You're right. It is my choice. It is my choice to come live on TikTok, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, and Instagram all at the same time. It is my choice to manage and hold this space however it feels best to me. Despite being live on several channels, there are infinitely more options available to you. You walked into my room. You turn on your phone. Those were actions that you have personal power and personal control over. Whether you choose to exert them or not is a distinction of how much personal power and personal responsibility you're willing to wield in your life. Personal responsibility is something that we cultivate for ourselves. If you are not capable of managing that personal responsibility yet, I encourage you to keep going. I encourage you to keep practicing. But as soon as we blame others for our situation or our circumstance or our feelings, we are giving away our power. We are victimizing ourselves and not taking personal responsibility for ourselves, for our situation, for our choices and our actions. You can't control anyone else in this world. There's not much you can really control outside of you at all without the use of force. If you want to remain in that push and pull of duality, that forcing others to do what you want, forcing the universe to get what you need, forcing everything to bend to your will, there is something to learn in that. There is an experience to be had, and I honor you, my friend, for your choice, for your authentic experience. I personally got really tired, really exhausted with the push and pull, fighting all the time. And so instead, I began developing a trusting relationship with myself and ultimately then with the universe. So that instead of having to fight and push and pull and fucking bitch my way through life, instead I bend and sway, and when the road rises up to meet me, I dance. So that each pothole, each bump, each ebb and flow can be a rhythm, can be a song, can be a playful thing. an exchange, an experience for the sake of experience, without the need to attach myself to things that cause me suffering. I don't like the way I don't like the way you manage your space. You should change things. Oh, this space really isn't for me. I'd like to find something different. One creates tension. One gives us the opportunity for understanding of ourselves, understanding of others. This does not create tension in my body, in my breath, in my being. This immediately creates tension in my body, at the very least, and if I keep it like this, it'll create tension in my breath and in my being. Let that shit go. So what is our mudra for the week? Mudra. The mudra for generosity. The mudra to help us to cultivate an awareness of our innate gifts, our authentic truths, the wisdoms, the understandings that are available within us. It helps us hear these things. It helps us cultivate these things. It also helps to balance the element of air in the body. It reduces inflammation, particularly joint rheumatoid inflammation. It opens our Manipura chakra, which is our solar plexus, our center for will, our center for confidence. So this can help a lot. Rachel Hope, if you're still in here, or maybe you've gone and found somewhere else for you, this can really help to balance those feelings of not having enough control and therefore needing to control other people. Right? This mudra also helps with cough, reduces cough, helps with bile disorders, enhances memory. I already said reduces inflammation, opens us up to our spiritual gifts, opens us up to the gifts, the authentic gifts that are for the benefit of all beings, the authentic expression that is for the benefit of all beings. So how do we do this mudra? It's kind of a funky mudra, so please take your time with it. Honor where you are in the moment. If you can't get the mudra exactly, please don't shame and guilt yourself. Please don't bitch at yourself. Let's practice just being compassionate with ourselves for a few minutes, okay? All right. Bring your palms together. They don't have to be this far out. I'm just doing this to show you. You can hold them right here. You can hold it like this. You can hold it like this. You ready? Bring your palms together. Open up your fingers. And we're going to cross the ring fingers over each other. Right over left. Ring fingers crossed, right over left. Then bring the opposite pinky to touch the ring finger. So that means my left pinky touches my right ring finger. My right pinky touches my left ring finger. Okay, so you've got this cool little fence thing, horn thing, right? Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with the next two fingers. Right middle finger over left. Opposite index to touch. Left index touches right middle. Right index touches left middle. Bring your thumbs to touch as well. As you do so, go slow. Adjust a little bit. I find that this is easier to hold when I flare out the bottom of the hands or the outside of the hands. And then this rests here at the heart. Or you can drop it a little bit lower. Try to keep it on the sternum. I was finding earlier as I was holding it, it's a little easier to hold if I start to tip it this way, but I don't want it to tip completely. So if you have any wrist sensitivity or injuries, there we go, stiffness, right? Please don't create tension in your system. Pain is tension. So if you are feeling pain, please back out of the mudra, adjust the mudra. Even if you can only get your fingers to touch like this, right? I prefer you do this rather than hurt yourself doing this, okay? Mijo, what's happening with all the cans? They keep falling?
No. The big door fell down again when I was trying to get it.
Okay, why don't you take them outside and put them in the Tupperwares, please? Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to sit for a meditation here for 5 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Did you finish those cans?
What can?
I wanted you to finish collecting the cans, if you would, please, and then bring them outside, and then I'll sit for a 5-minute meditation. You guys want to sit for 5 minutes? So, mudras. Mudras work by redirecting the energy channels in the body. When we sit for 5 minutes, we give it enough time to circulate through the system. It takes about 5 minutes for the mudra, for the energy to circulate through the system. This mudra does not have a lot of contradiction. However, it balances vata. Again, the only other contradiction I would say is if you have wrist injuries, please be very careful doing this mudra. Shift it, adjust it, however it fits for you. We're going to do this one more time so you guys can see that one more time. Bring your palms together, and then we're going to cross the ring fingers, left over right. Excuse me, I said it wrong. Right over left. Sorry about that. Cross the ring fingers, right over left. Bring the opposite pinkies to touch the pads of the fingers. So my left pinky is going to touch my right middle. My right pinky is going to touch my left ring. Fucker. Sorry. It's a tongue twister for the hands and for the mouth. Okay. Middle fingers. Right crosses over left. Right crosses over left. Touch your index fingers to the opposite middle fingers. So my left index finger touches my right middle. The right index finger touches my left middle. Now I have this cute, it reminds me of a fence. Reminds me of a fence. Or maybe cow horns. Touch your thumbs together. And then rest it here at your heart. I made a video of this one. Remember, if this isn't working for you right now and you want the video, I do it in 2 different perspectives, from this perspective, right? First person perspective as well as from in front. So the video can help if practice is what you need, or a different perspective is what you need. So let's go ahead and hold this mudra here on the sternum. If you can hold it here at the heart, fantastic. Otherwise, bring it down here a little bit lower, but please keep it connected to the sternum, even if just the thumbs are on the sternum. I find that too low is harder to hold, so find a good comfy position to hold your mudra. Keep those connections as best you can. Remember, we don't create tension, right? So we're not pressing super fucking hard in our mudra. This is only an intentional connection. If I create tension, I block the flow of energy through my system. So I hold. Welcome, Wyatt. Yay! So I hold this mudra with intention, not tension. And we're going to go ahead and sit for 5 minutes with this mudra. If you want to sit for longer, fantastic. If you can hold the mudra but you can't close your eyes, you can still sit for these 5 minutes. If you're busy at work and doing other things, or you're driving and whatnot, and you want to just sit for these 5 minutes with us, I encourage you to do so. You will receive benefit in all of these ways, okay? The point of this practice, the intention behind our 5-minute practice sitting with our mudra, even if you're not sitting with your mudra, is just to cultivate my attention. My ability to shift my attention intentionally is a skill I must cultivate. And if I spend just 5 minutes cultivating that skill, it's going to benefit me. Okay? So let's sit for these 5 minutes. Hold your mudra if you'd like to. If not, just cultivate your attention. Set your intention. If you're sitting in this meditation with me, with us, your intention is just going to be to follow the breath. Your intention is going to be nothing more, nothing less than to listen to the breath and occasionally check for tension in your system and then return to the breath. That's all we're going to do for 5 minutes. Go ahead and close your eyes. Oh, hold on. Kep, wait, before we start, Kep. You want to try one more time? Come here. Come here, Kep. Hold on. Are you ready? Can you see my hands? I'm gonna put these down here. Okay. Does this help a little better? Bring your palms together. Cross the left ring finger between the right pinky and ring. Drop your right ring that way. So now these two are crossed. Those are your ring fingers. Okay? And I'm going to bring my pinkies to touch those crossed over fingers. So now it's going to look like that from that side. And from this side, it's going to look like I got two little horns on there. Okay? And now we're going to do the same thing with the next fingers. Middle fingers. The right goes over the left. Same way as the other ones did. See how they're interlacing there? Right over left. And then I'm going to let the index on that side touch the finger on that side. And then I'm going to keep my thumbs together. And I find that if I open a little bit, it helps my fingers keep these connections. How's that, Kep? Now let me see if I can get the comments big again. I did it! Okay. Kep, don't answer. That means you have your mudra. If you're not answering, that means you have the mudra. All right, my friends, we're going to sit for 5 minutes with our mudra. If you can, go ahead and close your eyes. You can be seated. You can be laying down. If you're walking or driving, please don't fucking close your eyes. Okay. Go ahead and close your eyes if it's available to you. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths to fully arrive here in this space. Inhale through the nose and pull the breath through the lungs and all the way into the belly. And sigh it out. Inhale again, expanding the rib cage in all directions, front, sides, and back. Big deep breath. And let it go. Inhale once more, lifting the heart on the inhale and elongating the spine by lifting through the top of the head. And exhale, melting away any tension in my jaw, in my neck, in my shoulders, in my arms, in my belly, in my back, in my knees, in my hips, in my feet. Go ahead and seal the lips. And we're just going to spend 5 minutes following the breath. Listen for the inhale all the way to the top. Maybe even notice that brief pause. And then follow the exhale all the way to the bottom. Maybe notice that brief pause. Be present with the breath. Nothing more, nothing less. If tension arises in the body, notice it and return to the breath. If adjustment is required, if you have to shift your mudra a little bit or move your seat a little bit, please honor where you are and what your body needs. Don't create pain. Don't let pain create tension in your system. Just simply follow the breath. Inhale all the way to the top. Exhale all the way to the bottom. If your mind starts chattering away and telling you you have other shit to do or that this is silly or whatnot, I invite you again to just return to the sound of your breath. Let everything fall in line with this rhythm. Inhaling all the way to the top, all the way to the thought. Inhaling pain, inhaling tension, inhaling fear, inhaling and exhaling to let all of it pass. Inhale all the way to the top. And exhale all the way to the bottom. Keep those lips sealed and inhale and exhale through the nose. Stay with it. Anything that arises, I encourage you to meet with curiosity. Willingness to hear the negative self-talk without having to attach to it. Curious about the feeling and where the tension grows in your system when that negative self-talk arises. Curious about the skip in your breath when you inhale. Exhaling your willingness to let it go. Nothing more, nothing less than the breath. Inhaling all the way to the top. Exhaling all the way to the bottom. Everything in your system aligning with this rise and fall, riding the waves of your breath along with your heart. Stay with it. Right here and now, there is nothing but your breath and the mudra, this present moment. I encourage you to stay with your practice as long as it is available to you. When you feel complete, I invite you to release the mudra gently and either bring your hands together into prayer or simply lay one over the other over your heart in gratitude for today's practice. In gratitude for this mudra. In gratitude for the prana, the energy that flows through the path of least resistance to bring you to your highest good in every moment. In gratitude for this magnificent meat bag that is a conduit for that energy. In gratitude for the life that flows through us. Offer yourself some gratitude too for taking these 5 minutes for self-care. It's important. It's valuable. And I'm proud of you for taking the time. Thank you for joining me in this space and helping me cultivate this CAYA space where we can learn and grow and ultimately fucking thrive together. When you're ready to come out of meditation, please do so slowly. Offer yourself wiggles and stretches. Only opening your eyes when you're certain that you're ready to come back. Sometimes, especially some mudras are really hard to come back from. Tori, when I hear meatbag, I think of Invader Zim. I haven't watched Invader Zim for so long. Kep, you are very welcome. I love you, my friend. Did that help, Kep? The mudra? Andrew, Chiquita banana. Yay! Okay. When you didn't respond, when you weren't like, no, I can't get it, I was like, he's got it, or they got it. Sorry. They've got it. They've got it. Jay Falcon, my meat bag, says thank you too. You're very welcome, Jay Falcon, and your meat bag. Every aspect, every part of you, my friend. It's just about patience, right, Kep? It's about willingness. It's about curiosity. I'm curious about your experience. I'm curious about what works for you and doesn't because I'm stuck in my system. Talk soon, Tori. Love you. I'm stuck in my system. I'm stuck in my little perspective. I'm stuck in my little box of subjectivity. I can only see the world from my perspective unless I am willing and able to receive perspectives from other people. One of the things as a yoga teacher that I actually really appreciate about teaching yoga is that every single time I teach, I learn something new about how to teach. Because there are different people in my classes. And even if it's the same people that I'm working with, days are different and the way that they show up is different. I can enlighten my system by just being present with others. Kep, that hit my heart. Kep said, we all are. Thank you for remembering me. In these last several years of developing for the first time in my life a loving relationship with myself, that is what I keep hearing from the other parts of me. Thank you for remembering me. The little kid, the little girl part of me that I'm learning to let out, the one who's loud and silly and laughs a lot and projects her voice for fucking miles just because. Who wears silly things and dances in the yard. I didn't just forget her. I put her away on purpose. I left her there. Because I didn't feel safe to be her. When I was her, the universe didn't respond well. My environment didn't respond well. And so we do that to the parts of ourselves, again, out of protection. Let's change the perspective. Let's change the story here. Your body is not attacking you. There's not a battle, a war going on in here, except the ones that your ego is engaging in. And the ego engages in these battles as a means to protect you, and only a means to protect you. Even your worst habits are a means of protection and nourishment. It's the way to get a need met. Our systems are ignorant until we enlighten them. And in the process of becoming who we are, sometimes we do end up putting away, putting down, compartmentalizing parts of us so that we can show up in the way that the world expects us to, or the way that we think the world expects us to. I implore you, and I only implore you because usually I invite. This one I implore. I implore you to start creating the trusting relationship with yourself that will allow your ego characters to start putting down those arms, the defenders to start sitting down and being willing to have a conversation with you rather than protecting till death. the parts of you that they're tasked with protecting. The reason I implore you is because the most heartbreaking thing for me was finding those parts of myself that I had put away and feeling the pain and the suffering that I had been creating for myself unknowingly, unwillingly, unwittingly. But the other side of that, there is so much relief. You guys are gonna make me cry. There's so much relief on the other side of that. Learning to release the tension inside of my system, building trust with myself, and falling in love with myself, and learning how to truly value myself relieved me of a great deal of suffering. And the thing is, Kat, you say, I'm scared. It is scary. But to me, it's scarier to go my entire life suffering because of something that I could change. And that was it. That was my drive. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to spend my life suffering. And it meant that I had to do radical things, like being in situations where I genuinely was being victimized and, having an aggressor in my own home. These are scary situations. And I put myself in externally scary situations because of the tension within my system. Unknowingly, unwittingly, not victim blaming, but taking personal responsibility so that I can move forward with strength, so that I can move forward with confidence, so that I can find grace and the patience to align myself with my truth. And just because something is scary doesn't mean it's not worth doing. What's the definition of bravery? The definition of bravery is being scared and doing the right thing anyway. Stupidity, right, is being not scared at all and just fucking running full force into it. Maybe that's not stupidity. Maybe it's like just verbose overconfidence kind of thing. But it also is kind of stupid sometimes. Because having that kind of having that kind of overconfidence sometimes puts us in situations that we don't need to be in. But if we're scared and we remain behind our fear, then the growth... I was going to say then the growth doesn't happen, but here's the thing. The growth does happen. It just happens in a more painful, tense way. In a more difficult way. Because I'm fighting against it. I forgot I had those candles burning. You love more than your fear. Good. If I am searching for alignment, but I've never truly been aligned with my authentic self, aligned with the universe to receive abundance, aligned with my truth so that I trust and love and value myself and feel safe, right? If I've never been in these places, but this is where I want to get to, how am I going to get there? If I'm searching for something and I don't know what it feels like, I don't know what it looks like, I don't know what it is like, right? I don't know how to find it. There's no pre-prescribed steps for me to get there, right? Self-actualization is one of those things that's like, good luck! Well, I can tell you that you don't get there by mapping the entire journey out ahead of time. You get there in the tiniest steps. The tiniest steps. In each moment, noticing, is there tension? Yes or no? Is this tension for me or not for me? Can I move through this tension? Can I let go of this tension? Or do I feel overwhelmed by it and maybe I need to redirect and that tension is not for me yet? Walking through that tension is not for me yet. So I often use this analogy of how we like choose situations in our life that aren't for us, right? I joke about how if we go to a birthday party, we wouldn't go to somebody else's birthday party and grab a present from the table and open that present up and then put on the like 3 sizes too small itchy pink sweater that's totally obviously not our gift, right? Obviously not for us. But we do this with jobs, with relationships, with other situations, with personality traits. We put them on because somebody or someone or we believe or something in our ignorance that it's for us and we're supposed to wear it. And then we walk around and we tell everybody, no, it's fine. This obviously not fitting me sweater that I'm bitching about, no, it's really for me. The partner who really doesn't fit me and we're really not aligned with each other, but I'm going to stick it out with them. I create my own suffering. I create pain in that situation by doing that again and again and again. And ultimately, I take a gift that's for somebody else. This is a finite universe or a finite matrix that we live in, right? That partner that I'm taking into that relationship and holding in that relationship, even if it's not aligned for me, is actually for somebody else, is well aligned for somebody else. I'm going to feel that tension on a daily basis if I'm engaging with something that's not actually, doesn't actually fit me. Just like if I was wearing a too tight, pink, itchy sweater. I would feel that every fucking day that I wore that thing. That's tension. Now, I don't know what sweater is for me. Maybe I think it might be this, I think it might be that, but ultimately I'm an ignorant system and I can't really know exactly what the sweater looks like or feels like on me because I've never worn it. I've never worn enlightenment in this lifetime. I haven't reached self-actualization this lifetime. I've experienced abundance, but truly being aligned, I haven't really experienced those things. I don't know what they actually look like. How the fuck am I supposed to go find them? By in each moment asking myself, is this a pink itchy sweater? Does this really fit? Does this feel good? And if the answer is yes, wear it. If the answer is no, put it down. Leave it for somebody else. If the answer is I don't know, well, hang it in your closet and see how often you use it. See how often you wear it. In this way, how do you decipher? Tension, Kep, tension. And asking your system and listening. Yes or no. If you feel a yes or no, go for it. If you don't, spend more time with it. So this actually, Kep, because you're asking how to decipher, and the listening piece and the hearing the yes and no. The most powerful thing that I have done for me on this path of being able to hear that yes and no is by spending a certain amount of time every single day within my system. So in Sanskrit, the Sanskrit word, right, in yoga, we call this a sadhana. It's my daily practice, my daily mindfulness practice. It doesn't have to be intense. It doesn't have to be hours long. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It can be really simple. And that's where I suggest everyone start. If you can start with just 5 minutes every single morning, set your 5-minute snooze. And when your alarm goes off or when you wake up, hit the snooze, right? Do a snooze thing. And for just those 5 minutes, be still within yourself. Listen. And maybe you'll hear nothing except for your like gut gurgling, right? Maybe you'll feel nothing except for the crusties in your eyes because you just woke up. But if you do this every single day, you will begin laying the foundation for the trusting relationship with your inner aspects, inner selves, so that they can start to speak to you. The ego uses force. The ego will get loud. The ego will push and pull and demand things of you and the world. In its ignorance, in its immaturity, that's how it interacts with the world and with you. The wiser self, the higher self, does not need to push and pull you. Your guru, right, is not going to come chase you down, come find you. Your captain, your inner captain, is the same. Your inner captain, your higher self, your wiser self, your guides, all this insight is abso-fucking-lutely available to you. But it's not going to be the thing in your face demanding that you listen. Mindfulness and those 5 minutes every day is about filtering through all the things that show up in your face and listening for something that's a little more subtle, a little quieter, a little more confident, right? You know, the people lacking confidence have to be like in your face all the time. Try to get that confidence. Your captain doesn't need to do that. Your captain is waiting for you to be ready to receive the wisdom within your system. What if you feel it initially yes, but it almost always is no in the end? That sounds like a pattern, right? That sounds like a situation you may have chosen repeatedly and then it ends with a situation you going, oh, this wasn't actually aligned with me. So in that way, I work backwards. Yeah. I start to work backwards and I say, okay, where do I end up in these situations? Because where I end up is the illumination of the whole situation, the realization that it's not for me, right? So then I start going backwards. Where did I start realizing it? How did I start feeling it? I can do that with a lot of my situations and look back and go, oh, I did start feeling it in my heart. Or I did start feeling these feelings when this kind of thing was happen. Like, it started to manifest within me. When I go way back and do the whole thing, I realized that when I met the person, I'll use intimate relationships, right? Personal relationships. When I met that person, my system was excited, not calm and at peace, but my system had a kind of tension that was created through the excitement, through the desiring of it. And that is almost always an indication of a pulling, like I'm taking an energy, I'm pulling, my system wants to receive an energy. When I am completely aligned, my system does not my system transcends duality to accept unity as the truth of all creation, and therefore there's no need for push and pull any longer. The more intense the patterns, the more ingrained the patterns, the more intense that push and pull is going to be. An aligned, authentic system uses infinite source of prana, uses the infinite source of energy to produce its own quite wide, expansive aura, energy field. Your system creates an energy field. It's a finite energy field. That finite energy field is run from your heart. It's emitted from your heart, and it goes around your system, and it reaches out past your fingertips. Unless we're in contractive states, and then it comes in. And a lot of us are actually operating throughout our day with like energy fields like this. We need that tension in our energy fields to hold in all the fucking finite bullshit that we've been putting in our systems. This is conscious tension. The tension of ego, the tension of my consciousness keeping down all of that system, all of that stuff in my system. So this is an important piece. There is an infinite source of prana, right? When we align our systems with that infinite source of prana, that means opening our channels to receive that prana. That means getting rid of tension in our system, toxins and blockages in our system, so that prana can flow through. Nice, strong flow force, right? When that happens, the heart transmutes that energy into our finite energy field. That finite energy field is emitted through the heart, through the chakra system, through the minor chakras, down through the energy channels in our body. It expands out beyond our physical body and exists within our physical body. This finite system has a ebb and flow, has a breath, has a rise and a fall. Not only a birth and a development and a death, right? It also has a daily rise and fall, a regular shift, a monthly, weekly, sort of like this thing shifts a great deal. The easiest space, in my opinion, to balance the system is within the energy field. The easiest place to assess the system is within the energy field. The easiest place to realign the system, physical, cognitive, emotional, all of it, is through the energy. This is why I teach mudras in this space, because mudras are a fantastic passive way to align your energy body. And they're also really good for assessment. This mudra right here, Kep, this is a really easy one, okay? Let me give you guys this one. This mudra, Shukri, I believe, the Shukri mudra. I might be wrong on the name, I'll look real quick. Gather all of your fingers together to touch your thumb. Yes, son? You're letting flies in here. What? Mijo, did you do the chore that you were supposed to do? Then you shouldn't be asking me how much time is left in my class. Please go do that chore. Or go do another one somewhere else. Mijo, por favor, stop with the door.
Is kitchen by the door?
No. Okay. Sir, we've had discussions about boundaries and about expectations. There are expectations that you need to meet this morning before we can move on with our day. There is a boundary that says I am teaching to a certain point. This is still within the normal certain point of me teaching. You need to respect that boundary, please. You need to focus on getting your stuff done so that we can enjoy the rest of our day, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. All right. We are practicing. It's a dance that him and I are working on right now. Okay. So, here is this mudra. Again, I think it's called the Shukri mudra. We just did this the other week. Gather all your fingers together and bring your thumb to touch each finger. Doesn't matter that touching the pads or anything. Just make sure each finger slightly touches your thumb. Now, I encourage you to hold this mudra, rest it in your lap. And while we sit with this mudra, just hold it here. When you sit with this mudra, the longer you sit with it, the more it will resonate within you, the more intense or the more visceral the experience will become. As you sit with this mudra, you may notice that each finger might have a different feeling to it, or there's one finger that really stands out. I think you had said earlier that your fingers were cramping, right? These actually are indications of blockages in your system. And the reason I give you this mudra is because it's one of the simplest to do, and it's also one of the simplest to notice, not diagnose. So let me keep your mudra, hold on to your mudra, don't let it go. Each finger is responsible for a different element in the body. In the Vedic sciences, we understand the thumb manages the fire element in the body. The index manages the air element in the body. The middle manages the ether or spirit energy in the body. The ring manages the earth element in the body. The pinky manages the water element in the body. If you work with me in private coaching, we can absolutely use this stuff to assess. We can use mudras to assist, and we can we can work on redirecting and balancing your energy body one-on-one. I don't do that stuff live like this because I don't know enough about anybody's personal situation. But I can absolutely give you tools to self-assess. It's if you'd like to help using the tools, right, that then we do coaching. So, when you bring all of these elements together, touch fire, to the all to the thumb, yes. Touch fire to all these elements. You increase the capacity for all of these elements. You balance all of these elements within the body. Bring them all together. As you sit with this mudra, notice the weird, funny sensations in your hand. And this is why I also encourage you to keep a journal. In fact, I need to make another note about it because I keep losing my post-it note. I would like to make a mudra journal that I can post for sale on my Patreon page, so that you guys can use a journal, have a journal with other insights and things like that in it to use for these classes, because we're going to keep doing mudras. We're probably going to keep doing mudras forever. Your thumbs are like eyes. Ooh, interesting. Are they seeing? Are you seeing things with the mudra? With the eyes of your thumb? This mudra also works to balance the whole body too, right? So as it's balancing, you're going to notice the the funny sensations in your system. So not only can you just notice what's balanced or not, but you can also feel, but you can also realign them at the same time. So there's another piece to this too. It's all I can see at a 10 digits, 2 thumbs. Oh, they do kind of look like a little eye. Okay. To tap into the wisdom, you do feel different energy. Awesome, Batman. I encourage you guys to play with these mudras. Remember that sitting with mudra for 5 minutes, 5 minutes is about how long it takes for the energy to start circulating through, to get through your entire system. So if you can, if it's available, sit for 5 minutes. I love mudras because this is some passive shit that you can do to balance and align yourself without having to do anything else. If you're sitting there and watching me right now, hold this here. Hold it the whole fucking time, and you're going to receive a fantastic benefit. If you're watching Netflix, hold this mudra or another one for the whole thing. 20 minutes, 45 fucking minutes, that's an amazing practice. Obviously, at any point, if you're holding any mudra and it starts to create tension in your system, so much so that it creates pain, right? While I'm holding this, I feel tension in my middle finger. However, it's not painful, it's not uncomfortable, it's just a little bit of tension. So I'm going to breathe. Hey, Eric, how are you? So I'm going to breathe into that tension and give it permission to let go. My attention and my intention are some of the most powerful forces that I have. Kep, to do anything more than 3 seconds these days is very impressive. In a world that wants to keep your attention, in a world that harvests your attention, because that's what that is. We live in a world that wants to keep your attention scattered all over the place. Why? Why do the systems, as they are right now, keep your attention scattered? Because if you learn to cultivate your attention and your intention, you become autonomous. And the system needs to use you to continue to thrive, to stay alive. It's not thriving. For you to thrive, you do not benefit the current system by thriving. Harvesting our energy, 100%, through manipulation, through tactics that are intended. Go online and you can go find yourself a marketing course that will tell you how to manipulate your viewers. Marketing, current marketing is based on psychological theory. And it is intended to skip the prefrontal cortex, to instigate or to activate lower areas of the brain. It's essentially intended to trigger and bait your ego. And therefore, we get pushed and pulled around, puppeted, victimized, by this system. We are kept in survival mode by a system that does not actually satisfy many and most of our needs, and is not a system that supports self-actualization. So if we recognize those things about the system, then we can recognize and acknowledge the system is not actually benefit to our well-being. And I personally am definitely interested in my well-being. And I'm also interested in yours too, because I'm just that person. I'm that guy. So one of the most radical things that you can do is to cultivate your awareness of your inner landscape, of these triggers, of your ego selves. Find what triggers your ego and have a conversation about that with your ego. If you notice that every single time somebody cuts you off in traffic, you have this majorly rageful episode and you start screaming and cussing and like flipping people off and shit, and it doesn't get you anywhere good. Plus it gives you a nasty feeling in your stomach. Plus it's embarrassing in front of your friends or in front of your kids. Or God forbid you actually start a fight with somebody and put yourself in danger. Like these things, that doesn't actually really benefit you, does it? But it's intended to keep you safe. So we redirect that energy. We learn to cultivate a trusting relationship with that energy. Kep, sometimes you think about why it works. In essence, it shouldn't, according to what you've seen in 45 years. You mean psychology? You mean marketing tactics and stuff? The system? The system has been built on control of information, intentional control of information. The issue right now is that information is everywhere accessible in the world right now, right? So when we are ignorant, it's easy to control us. When we are ignorant, we are not aware of all of the different options, and so we tend to make decisions out of that ignorance. And if the system can withhold the information, then it can keep us ignorant. And then we can only make decisions that are as wise as the information we have. That's how the system has gotten to the place that it is. Information control. Now, we have an excess of information everywhere. We have information accessible for almost everyone. And that's not true. But a lot more than before, right? An increasing amount. So what does the system do now? It floods the information with false, exaggerated, sensationalized, divisive stuff. Bullshit. So that now it's not about whether or not you can access the information. It's about everybody arguing what's true or what's not, because there's so much extra. There's so much bullshit in there. The truth is that you can't be absolutely certain that something is true or not unless it resonates as true within you. But if my system is out of alignment, then what's going to resonate as true may be out of alignment. I want to let go of the blame and the anger, right? The resentment toward the system. Because as long as we're engaging in resentment, we're still engaging in the system. When I can recognize that the system serves some very few people, and those people are interested in maintaining the service they receive from the system, which totally makes sense, I let go of all those stories that create suffering in my head, that create tension in my body, and instead look at it from a very matter of fact. Oh, the system works like this, and the system doesn't support my well-being. So if I am interested in my well-being, I'm going to have to find ways to move myself away from what the system does. And that's actually really good, because then I can just go, okay, what are the most common practices that are obviously not good for my health? Let me start shifting my energy away from those. As we do that, Kat, that's what makes me sad. Am I not seeing the truth, or is it the majority? So here, the other thing too about truth, right? Like I said, it has to resonate within you. We have to align our scales. That's personal work. align your scales. Work with aligning your energy body, which will align your physical body and your cognitive body so that your scales can align. As I do that, I need mirrors around me to help me see what's happening. I can see within me to a certain degree. Everything outside of me is going to echo back what's inside of me. And so I must use both the information inside as well as the information outside. But if I really want to get outside of the system, if I really want to see a broader stroke of truth, I have to look outside of my own system. I am stuck in the illusion of subjectivity. Everything I experience in this world is experienced inside of me. That means I can never stand in your shoes. I can never experience what it's like to grow up where you did, with who you did, and how you did. The only way I can know that truth is if you are willing to share it with me, and I am willing to suspend my expectations and my judgment and my things to receive your information as truth. One of my favorite analogies for this, and then I want to talk to you, kept still, about road rage stuff, right? And because we're going to bring it back into alignment, into our systems, where that's aligned in our systems, and how to shortcut that. Once upon a time, long ago, last Wednesday, in a kingdom far, far away, just next door, there lived a king. And this king had 3 young men in his kingdom. And they came to the king, and they said, I mean, not just 3 young men, but these 3 young men came to the king, and they said, they're blind young men. They came to the king and they said, we've never seen an elephant. We've never touched an elephant. And we hear all about elephants and how amazing and magnificent they are. We'd love to experience one. And so the king says, fantastic, stay here. And he calls in a big elephant. The big elephant comes into the courtyard, and each blind man goes to the elephant as a different point. One wraps his arm around the leg, and he goes, this thing's like a tree. It's rooted in the ground. I cannot move it at all. He was the shortest of the bunch. The second approaches the elephant at the front. First thing he comes in contact with is that elephant's trunk. And he takes the trunk under his arm and he goes, this thing's like a snake. This thing's fat, and wiggly. This is like an anaconda. What the fuck? Tree? Bullshit. This is an anaconda. The third one, the tallest of the 3, stands at the side of the elephant and smacks the side. Tree? Snake? This thing's a fucking house. There's a fucking wall in front of me. What the fuck? Where's the elephant? And the blind men began arguing, bickering over whether the elephant looked like a tree or a snake or a wall. Wisdom is sitting in that king's chair, recognizing that all perspectives are valuable. And that if I'm standing at the front of the elephant, I'm going to have a very different experience than the person standing at the ass of the elephant. So if I tell you, it's all fun and games and peanuts up here, that's how life is. And somebody else says, life is fucking shit. Both are true. It is the divisiveness of our culture that has taught us to argue over differences in perspective. Do not let, if you want to stay that way, but if you don't let your culture tell you that your neighbors are liars or that they're not valuable. Don't let the culture or the powers that be tell you that you shouldn't read books from other cultures or gain insights from people who don't look like you. Because I can tell you firsthand, those are the most valuable insights I've ever received in my life. I've spent most of my life traveling and traveling to faraway places. The most valuable experiences I've ever had were where I walked in ignorant and willing, owning my ignorance, curious about what is available to me in that moment. So again, usually I invite, but I encourage this one. I encourage you to find ways each day to suspend your judgment, your certainty that your truth is the only truth, God, so help you God. And recognize that the value in the perspective of someone else is the gift of perspective for you, the gift of a little spark of enlightenment for you. Hey, Derek, welcome back. You say you got off social media a while ago after feeling inundated with stuff. Yeah. It's everywhere. That's why the social media platforms don't share my content. I'm amazed at how much traction we've gotten on TikTok, which is why I spend most of my time on TikTok. But everywhere else, the content really does not move. Sometimes it will get removed. Oftentimes I will get flagged or strikes on my account because I'm teaching mudras or talking about mindfulness and talking about aligning the system. God forbid I mention, God as something that also exists within you. Because that is not what the system wants you to see. The system itself has a need that it is trying to satisfy, and it needs you to suspend your personal power so that it can harvest the energy from you, so that it can satisfy its needs with your finite energy. A system that consumes finite things over and over and over is never satisfied, and therefore eventually will fall. We are currently in the process right now of finding the infinite sustainable sources of energy within ourselves and outside of ourselves. This is something everyone and everything is doing in the universe. Although we can fight back, we can deny it, we can resist, right? The flow of life is happening. The flow of life is happening. Are you riding the waves? Are you surfing? Are you bending? Are you swaying? Are you dancing? Or are you grabbing a hold of that old rock and being like, no, I refuse to move from this thing that's been here all of my life. It's my only security. That's why it's scary. That's why it's scary. The paradox. Thank you, Kep, so much. And I guess it does go to the people that it needs to, right? Kep? But this piece. I wanted to talk about the road rage because I mentioned it and then we went down another rabbit hole and I want to come back to it because it goes in line with the things we were talking about earlier. But hold on, my feet are asleep. Okay. Road rage. As an example. Where does that come from? You want to guess? You guys want to guess? We're talking about energy imbalances in the system. I have my root chakra at the base of my system, at my pelvic floor. My sacral chakra here below my belly button. My solar plexus above my belly button. My heart here in the middle of my chest. My throat here in the middle of my neck. My third eye here in my brow, in the middle of my brow. And my crown up here at the top of my head. If my system is out of balance and uses energy to protect me when I feel threatened, road rage. What would road rage satisfy? What need would road rage satisfy? What energy, what chakra do you think might be feeling insecure or lacking or small that would require such a big reaction and such an intense one? Batman. Root. Sorry, Batman is the name. That's why I was like, Batman. Batman's the answer. Actually, Batman is the answer, because why did Batman do what he was doing? Because of chakra imbalance, because of trauma. To try to satisfy a need for his system. But Batman, yes. The root. Nova. Batman is always the answer. The root. Yes. What is the root about? My root is the pelvic floor chakra. If you are sitting down, you are sitting on your root. It's your perineum, essentially. This develops in utero until the age of about 6 months. Remember, your system goes through several cycles. The first stage of development for your root chakra is for about 6 months. Hey, Josie. In utero up until about 6 months. What does the root chakra, what is it trying to satisfy? Safety versus fear. It's trying to figure out, am I safe in the world? Do I have a right to exist at all? Do I belong in this body? Very foundational. Do I have a right to exist? Am I safe? It's the I am of the chakras, the first iteration of your existence. So, when the system during those first 6 months feels unsafe, it starts to retract the energy. Or it can expand the energy. It can either push more energy from the root, or it can pull the energy in. Our systems may respond in either way, right? Because of our unique frequency and our unique makeup. For me, I'm not safe meant that energy got pulled up into upper chakras. A lot of times, for most of us, actually, let me say this piece too. In the West, again, like I said earlier, I have not met a single person without root chakra imbalance. Many things that we do for and with our infants and our children, and during and after pregnancy, many of the things that our culture promotes, encourages, or even forces upon us actually cause that first trauma in the imbalance in the root chakra, unfortunately. So that energy has to go somewhere. It never dies, so it has to go somewhere. Either it'll be somebody who constantly creates a huge amount of safety around them, external examples of safety, like possessions, owning things, hoarding things, keeping things. These will offer a physical, external sense of security when the system doesn't feel the energetic sense of security. Another way we do this is to weaponize our energy. And again, for young men in our culture, just culturally speaking in the West, for young men, the safest place for you to put up boundaries and to protect yourself, the easiest way for you to do that is to use the solar plexus, is to use aggression. Your culture teaches you that you're not safe naturally. You don't have a right to exist. You have to fight for that right. You gotta fight for your right to party. So, many of us, particularly the masculine, pull the energy up to their solar plexus, and they weaponize that energy to keep themselves safe. And also to receive nourishment from the universe. depending on how that stage of development went for them. Nephi, holding space. Nephi, I invite you, if you're willing, to put your left hand on your solar plexus and to sit on your right hand. So you can either put it in front here, or you can sit on it on the side. Just put it underneath your butt. Sit on your right hand, left hand on your solar plexus. Take a deep breath in and fill your belly with breath. Hold. Let that breath swirl around the solar plexus. And then exhale out the root. Imagine that the breath comes in through the nose. Hold it in your belly and exhale it out the root. We're going to do that 2 more times. Left hand on your solar plexus, which is between your sternum and your belly button. Right hand underneath on your perineum, underneath your butt. There. Deep breath in. Pull the breath through the nose into the belly and hold. Imagine that breath becoming bright, brilliant yellow, like a sunlight in your belly, like a sunlight all around the middle of your body, filling your gut all the way down to your root chakra. And then exhale intentionally through the root chakra. Releasing anything stuck, anything no longer serving you, anything heavy, anything that's not necessary in the system. 1 more time. Inhale, pull the breath into the belly. Hold that big sunshine in there. Let it clear away any blockages. And exhale with intention through the root. Go ahead and release. And place your hands, palms down on your thighs. Imagine that in this space, anything that no longer serves you, that is stuck or rigid in the solar plexus, can trickle down into the root to soothe the root, to heal the root. Oftentimes, energy from the root gets pulled up into other parts of our system. So ground. Send that energy down. Grow your roots into the earth. You are safe. You are grounded. You are right exactly as you need to be, where you need to be, when you need to be. If the universe did not need you, you would not be here. You are an imperative because you exist. No one else has ever been you, and no one else will ever be you. Ground that into the earth. Trust that you are supported and that you will remain grounded and supported. Gaia, God, Source, they don't make mistakes. It is in our ignorance and our arrogance that we believe we are mistakes, or that we see mistakes outside of us or within us. There are no mistakes, only miracles. Stay with that as long as you'd like, and take that practice anytime you need it. You're very welcome. Kat, I'm sorry and sad for men that they have treated others in those ways. I think one of the hardest things for me, you're very welcome, Josie, I love you too. When I was little, like I said, I was raised Catholic, and had a very close relationship to God, to the Catholic version, and to Christ, and regularly had conversations, right? And the thing that I used to literally bring me to tears was I would ask Christ how he held in his heart all the pain from witnessing, right? All the knowing from knowing. In our knowing, in our awareness, there is the potential for the recognition of the acknowledgement of how much pain and how much suffering exists in the world. First of all, I used to think I had to carry it all, which we don't. And neither did Christ. But if I stay stuck in the place of feeling sad or sorry for myself or anyone else in those situations, then I spend my energy in a way that does not benefit me moving forward. This is a process that I went through when I was in my teens and 20s. When I was victimized, when I was blaming everything else, when I was upset about these other things, when I was carrying all this weight, there was a fuck ton of tension. Start with you. Balance you. Work with you. Cultivate your attention. Cultivate your personal power. Josie, so many questions. That's what this space is for. Come join the Discord and drop your questions in there all hours of the day and night. But compassion, right? Kep says, you say, I don't think that compassion is, I do think to have compassion is crucial, but it's balance. That was imbalance of me believing that I had to carry the weight of the world. That imbalance came from my energy alignment, my misalignment, my imbalance in my energy that I had learned to open my heart chakra and keep it way big open and believe that I had to witness and bear witness to and hold space for every single bit of pain in the entire world. But this is imbalance. And Christ teaches us about Christ consciousness, about a state of being, about a state of consciousness that is aligned and balanced with the universe, with greater consciousness. Christ doesn't say, take on everybody's bullshit as your own. Christ teaches about unconditional love, which is love for other, yes, balanced with love for self. Hey, James, how are you? Hey, John. That was Josie. That was so hard for me to accept. I want to fix everyone, but I'm not made for that. Here's the thing. Hey, Liz. I also was in the same place, and let me tell you from experience, right? That what we're doing in that place is weaponizing our energy. Because in my feeling like I need this excess, when my heart is in excess like this, I do not receive energy well, because my heart is pushing out so much, and therefore there is a lack within me, and that's what feeds itself to this. I give and I give and I give, but nobody takes care of me, right? Because I am imbalanced. I am pushing so much that I struggle to receive. So first of all, I recognize that I was denying myself the very love I needed by pushing so much out on other people. And then second, I realized that what I was doing by pushing my energy onto others and demanding that they let me fix them and their situation and whatnot, I was taking away their personal power. I was denying them their personal power because I was saying, no, you can't do that. No, that's too heavy for you. No, you shouldn't have to do that. Here, let me do it for you. And in that is the messaging that says, I don't trust you to be able to do it. I don't think you can do it. I don't have confidence in your ability to work through this shit. And that one was like a... And that's when I started to learn I see you. I have tools that I can offer. And if you would like those tools, come find me. I'm going to make myself available. Come find me. Ask me for them. And we can communicate and share them with you, right, when I am available and have time to do so. But I trust. In fact, I am fucking certain at this point, because of where I came from, if I can do this shit, so can you. I am fucking certain that every single person has the capacity within them for enlightening the self. Even if it's just a smidge. Even if it's all the way. And it's not my decision where you're at or where you should be at or how much you should enlighten or not. That's you. In my ignorance and in my arrogance, I weaponize that energy and I say, let me do it for you. Let me do it this way. You need to do it that way. That's why the mantra in here is, you are your own guru. Because even if I give you a mudra, you have to put your hand in that position and hold that mudra. And even if I say, hey, holding this mudra, focus all of your attention inside of your belly button. You have to focus your attention inside of your belly button. I can't do that for you. The books you read cannot turn that information into understanding. You have to walk that experience to receive that wisdom. You have to be willing. You have to make the move. It happens inside of you. Everything that happens outside of you is seeded in this garden. So my responsibility is me, first and foremost. And when I align myself with the authentic version of me, as I do that, I recognize that you are just as valuable, just as miraculous, just as fucking perfect in all your chaos and amazingness as I am. You guys, it's just been coming up again and again and again and again. The lyrics from that song. If you don't see God in all, you won't see God at all, at all. If you don't see God in all, you won't see God at all, at all. Because to recognize the perfection, the divinity, the miracle, the everything within me, I have to acknowledge that that same capacity is available within you. To recognize that I am a child of God, part of the same ocean that is God, then so are you. The whole love the sinner, not the sin bullshit is divisiveness and is the denial of God within the other. Again, God, Gaia, Source, does not make mistakes, only miracles. Derek, you say, I'm curious how your relationship with Christ has adapted, if you don't mind sharing. Yeah. I left the Catholic Church when I was 12, specifically to find Christ. And God. But I knew that Christ would lead me to God. Not the sky daddy, man, deity, white dude deity that I was taught in my church that sits up in the clouds and is waiting to smite me if I fuck up. Not that guy. Because that was exactly what my stepdad was like. And I was like, you cannot tell me that God is the same as this asshole. Yeah. I must be looking for somebody else. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Right? So I left the church, and I left behind their book, too. I read the book. I'm in the book. That's why I read the book, and I loved the stories of the book. I don't know if I've ever left Christ. I don't know if I've ever left, but I have walked away from Jesus. I've spent my life seeking the state of being that Christ was teaching us about. And that state of being is the same as the Buddha, is the same as many different iterations of the unity with the divine, unity with the whole, the understanding of the micro macro sort of paradoxical sort of nature of the unity, the duality within unity, right? I was also studying, I went and studied philosophy really early on. I think it kind of broke my brain a little bit, or at least it felt like it. But it afforded me the opportunity to see outside of the box. Because philosophy says there is a box, but there isn't a box. And if you're in the box, you're only in the box because you believe you're in the box, right? Like Zen and philosophy do these really ridiculous things like that, where you're like, blah, 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 blah. I was listening to, reading actually Meditations, the Meditations that Descartes wrote. And in it, at the very beginning, Descartes says, how am I going to prove reality? How am I going to prove that I exist? And he went through several pages of talking about how to prove it. Because he's like, well, all I really have is my perception, and I have to trust my perception. But what if within my perception is actually it's being manipulated by some like puppeteer kind of god, right? Or what if my perception is entirely illusion and none of these things really exist? He couldn't get past the first fucking boundary. And then he said, well, to go any further, I just have to assume that I can trust my perception. And at 15, that fucked me up. That fucked me up. Big time. I used to tell my therapist, I'm like, I think that I like opened too many doors and windows like way too early in the brain and like traumatized myself for how I dipped into the subtle layers of creation before I was even stable on the more gross level, right? Even on the earth. So what ended up happening is that my energy in my system lifted way the fuck up here. And I spent all of my younger years pushing energy out through my heart, pushing energy out through my throat, pushing energy out through my third eye, screaming with my crown chakra, trying to fucking beg for the universe to feed me. But I wouldn't even take that energy down deep enough to ground me. I found Christ. Truly. When I learned how to bring that energy down within me, all the way down within me, and then when I learned how to then send the energy back up as a kind of reaching upward and reaching downward. When my system started to stretch itself to reach up and reach down, the space within me became created to hold Christ, to perceive Christ. I need to settle down a little bit because it was a really intense experience for me. I used to see Christ as someone that lived outside of me that I would never be able to personally talk to. Someone unreachable, someone far away, someone perfect in a way that I could never be. How has my relationship changed? I recognize that Christ is me as well. That I am and you are. Because I got the I am part first. But it still didn't satisfy the system until the you are also. Hesitant to name it. Heck, it doesn't have a name. In our ignorance, in our limitation, we attempt to name, we attempt to limit the thing that is limitless. In certain traditions, we refer to source God as that, as simply that. The term Yahweh means I am what I am. Who are you? What are you? I am what I am. And I love that Popeye took that, like, and uses that. But God, when asked, said, I am. You are what? I am. You, that, this, above, below, everything and anything. I just am. There is no name because the name is limited to encompass the capacity for something unlimited. Maybe I need more spinach, Kev. I love you. It was my spiritual can of spinach. My spiritual can of spinach. Yeah. Oh. Mommy Kia. Mommy kitty. Kitty. Come here. Mommy? Oh, Titten. Titten. Okay. Liz, you said that was your problem. Your family was divided with religious belief. You were torn and confused. At risk of getting people reporting me on TikTok because they do. The structures of religion are divisive by nature because they were created out of our ignorance. In our ignorance, in our inability to encapsulate something that is bigger than us, that none of us can see by ourselves, that we have to see collectively. That's the elephant in the room. In our ignorance, we create these systems to try to encapsulate something that we cannot completely put together. We cannot see it, we cannot perceive it, we cannot take it apart and put it back together. In our limitation, we cannot completely understand it. We will forever remain ignorant to at least parts of it. And so we create deities and we create stories and we talk about it. Listen, we talk about it from all these different angles so that we can see the whole picture. There's a head and a tail and a leg and a side. There's Christianity, Catholicism, Hinduism, and a variety of other different angles for us to see the elephant in the room. And we're sitting here on the floor bickering about the different angles of the elephant instead of saying, oh, you grew up and were taught this part of the elephant. Okay. I was taught this part of the elephant. And so learned about that part of the elephant. Well, if we all fucking sit down in the courtyard and talk about the elephant, we're going to see the whole fucking elephant. No one of us can see the elephant. But we sit there in our ignorance and bicker that our perspective of the elephant is the only righteous one, is the only true one. And in that way, I further myself, I deepen myself into more suffering, into more division, into more ignorance. I like this definition of the word ignorance as belief in duality. The more belief I have in that separation and the divisiveness of me and the entire universe and the isolation that exists within that, the more ignorant my system remains. When I enlighten my system with the awareness of the subtle layers of the universe and ultimately the unity of it, then I become self-actualized because I recognize my true place within it. Lind, I love that. Echoes, right? Echoes. Mirrors. Kep, it's hard to wrap heads around others' intent. Why are you trying to wrap your head around someone else's intent? What purpose does that serve for you? Why do you need to know their intent? Maybe for a matter of protection, if we have root chakra imbalance, right? then I'm curious and worrisome about other people's intentions because I might have to defend myself. I might have to fight back. They might be out to get me. That's speaking from our imbalance. I can ask about someone's intent and I can take their words at face value. Or I can believe that they're being dishonest with me. And if I believe that they're being dishonest with me, maybe it's an insight, maybe it's an intuition that my system's like, hey, I feel some like weird energy here. Or maybe my system's imbalanced enough that I can't even perceive their truth. Or I'm unwilling to perceive what they're saying as truth. Everything comes back to me. Everything comes back to the most important part of this is me. And shit. It is 1:50. Okay. I said I was going to go around 1 o'clock, and we ended up with a whole nother hour almost. All right, my friends. Let me catch up on the comments here. Josie, do I believe in plants helping us find answers? Yes, in a variety of ways, both using plants as guides and also by communicating with them yourself. We can energetically communicate with plants directly and with animals and whatnot, and they're great mirrors. They don't have all the other stuff that the human brain does, and so they're clearer, purer communicators. Josie, all religions hold truth, but they aren't the whole truth. Kat, to be honest, I'll never grasp organized religion, but I love the true demonstrations of it. This is my analogy. The truth is this prism. Each of our belief systems, each of our religions and perspectives are a different facet in here. And by nature of my ignorance, by nature of who I am and where I was born and all that stuff, I get my own little perspective here. And there are people nearby me who are going to be raised and born into that same or very, 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 very similar perspective, right? They can't have the same one. And then by degrees will be removed from me. To see the whole prism, we have to acknowledge that every facet exists and is important to the whole. For us to see God, source, nature of reality, the truth, we all have to come together and talk about what our perspectives look like, because I can't sit here if I'm born over here. And if I'm born over here, the person on this end of the spectrum, or on this side of the prism, is going to sound like totally fucking opposite. Again, I might be at the ass of the elephant, and if somebody's at the head of the elephant, we're going to have two very different experiences of the elephant. Both are true. That is the unconditional love, the recognition, the authenticity, the valuing my perspective as well as yours. Both are equal and important. Leb, I'm still here. Yes, but I'm getting off. Oops. I love you too, Josie. I love you all. Okay, my friends, I am going to close out. Remember that if you would like to spend more time hanging out with me and our community and talking about this stuff, come into the Discord. I am live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Starting September 1st, which is on Sunday, we are going to start a 40-day Kriya. I've been wanting to do the Kriya for karma, and then I'm feeling like a little bit hesitant. So we'll see what Kriya we end up doing. If I don't do the Kriya for karma, we'll do the Kriya for addiction. Keep an eye out for that. I promise I will post all about it. If you have any questions, you feel free to message me. If you want links, feel free to message me. If you want to join memberships, feel free to message me, or just go into the Discord and we can talk about all of it. Okay? I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you so much for being part of this prism. Thank you for sharing your perspective with me and to helping me see the whole a little bit clearer. I love you so much. Go be good to you today, okay? At least for 5 minutes. All right. Derek, I'm going to be messaging you here very shortly. For the rest of you, good night, Twitch. Good night, Kick. Good night, Instagram. Good night, YouTube.